what a finish. What a man.
The drum roll finishes, and the target is hit.
And it comes on finals night, and it's a knockout
Brilliant. Dirty Harrison. Van Velzen.
Cut off the lights.
Yes.
I perform
Double
better
12.
at night. I've been outside with the mice.
Get in there, Lee.
No chicken and rice. While it was filled with the mites. Now it's an infinite
Bullseye for
price.
Shane.
If they wasn't living your life,
Here we go again.
They shouldn't give you advice.
That was a bit juicy, wasn't it?
Nichols expects it to go.
We see you missing your
And it
stripes.
does.
Get it, you've been in the game for a minute, but it's time to kick it. We know that you finished. The future is coming. Let's stick to the mission and aim for the target.
That
With every
is
precision,
world
we
class
dissing
from
them all.
Campbell.
Pitching the victims, yeah, we
Off
call
the
it victims.
canvas.
They're demolition. I'm
2-0
changing
down.
the rules and breaking tradition
And now,
and make it, 'cause nobody
3-2
making a difference. I
Samuel
see it.
Spivey.
Nobody gonna go hard for me
gets
like
it.
I go for me.
That's incredible.
That's why I gotta take mine, try and get milestones for me.
Hello, good evening and welcome. No, I'm not David Dimbleby. I am Paul the Asset Nicholson. And this is Pluto TV's ongoing coverage of the Modus Super Series. And this is the start of Group B action in Week 4 in Series 11. We have seen 3.5 days of really good action so far, but we're going to go up a notch tonight. I can just feel it because this group is going to be sensational. Will it be as unpredictable as this afternoon, Matthew Edgar? Because this afternoon was a bit puzzling at times, but a certain Mr. Sharp, he was just that.
Yeah, I think this is going to be a lot more level than what we saw actually in Group C. I think Group C was very divided in regards to the levels. I think some people didn't quite cut the standard. We never know what we're going to get with a debutant, David Sharp, coming in there, and he was exceptional today. It was managing the moment. So you're meant to be nervous on debut, but there was no signs of that whatsoever from David.
We did have a moment between Mark McGuire and David Sharp. Is it fair to say that this was the moment of the afternoon?
It was a moment that Mark McGuire is probably going to want to forget. It was on the 120. He needed the big single. And quite often, and especially with the angle of entry Mark McGuire has, we say stay away from the treble, go high. You're better off hitting tops. And he's got one of those angles of entries where he can get right underneath that wire and it'll be a friend and a help to him. So I can only assume that's just not come out the hand right, because he would have been looking to give that lots of air and it's just dropped in, and that angle of entry, the way it is, if he gets anywhere near that flight, it's just going to carry into the treble.
Yeah, that was the low point of the afternoon for McGuire. He did recover somewhat a little bit after that, but David Sharp, who played the last game of the afternoon, did find his way to the top of the table very quickly today, and he stayed there. 10 points from a debut day is something that doesn't happen very often. Everybody on different points totals as well, Matt. So tomorrow, as we flip the script upside down, so the last game of today will be the first game of tomorrow from 1 p.m. It's going to be a very interesting day. If maybe David Sharp gets off to a slow start, there's a lot of opportunities here for other people.
Well, David's got to start off against the players at the bottom end of the table, which is probably going to be perfect for him, really. And the main thing is now, what's the attitude does he come in with tomorrow? Because today he came in maybe without expectation. Tomorrow he's going to come in completely different. He's going to be expecting to get the job done. Now, how does he handle that? We'll find out tomorrow. But he's going to come in and he's almost going to feel like he's trying to replicate something rather than produce something. And he doesn't have to replicate too much more. And he's already there in Saturday night.
Well, that was Group C for today, and we've got plenty of action for you tonight. And this is just a reminder of what happened a little bit earlier in the week, because Jamai van den Herik from the Netherlands, the very talented 22-year-old from the Netherlands, has won his way through to Saturday on his debut date. And as far as Group B is concerned, we have Shane McGuirk coming up with Lee Cox and Carl Wilson joining Sam Spivey and Scott Campbell. And like Matt said, Group C will come to its close tomorrow. When it comes to Shane McGuirk, obviously when he won the WDF title at the back end of last year, he came here soon after and compounded the interest in his brand of the game by winning here for the first time. Does he come here with even more pressure now that he's a winner here?
Do you know, I was here the week Shane McGuirk won, and there was a lot of talk, certainly across social media. I like to monitor the weeks that I'm here and sort of monitor to see what the vibe is about the players, what are people thinking. And there was a lot of conversation with Shane McGuirk, because he won that WWF World Championship, that people, it was dividing what they wanted him to do, but people felt he had to win the week. And when he did, it was very much the vibe of, okay, that's it now. He's sort of confirmed that win. And then his name gets announced again. And it's like that win got forgotten and we go again, where once again he's got to prove himself. And I think that's sort of the situation he's going to find himself in a lot this year, where he's going to have to constantly keep proving himself. I mean, we know he's a quality player. We know that, but it's like the viewing public want to always see what he can do. And I think that some of that comes down to the fact that when he's going to the Challenge Tours, he's not quite getting the results there. He's not picking up the Challenge Tour titles, getting himself those Pro Tour call-ups. So I think every time he comes here, there's a lot of eyes watching to see how he fares.
He's going to come in fresh tonight, because obviously he didn't play in Group A the last 3 days. But Sam Spivey did. That was his first dabble into a full week. And now he's into the second half. Are we starting to see the Sam Spivey that we all know and love?
Yeah, it's a different game altogether, isn't it? When you got to play the full week, it's tiring. And do you know what? If that first day doesn't go well, you pretty much know that you can't win the group. So you see a lot of fixtures ahead of you with very, very little reward, other than playing for places, which increases your chances of prize money. But I think tonight's the night where Sam Spivey's going to go back to that player we know, that player who's won weeks here at the Super Series. And I think he's going to fit in perfectly with a very balanced group.
Well, we're going to start with Scott Campbell. He has won a Group A before. He's won a Group B before. He's also won a Group C before. But he's up against Lee Cox in his first game of the night. As for Campbell against Cox, you're going to have to stay tuned for that one. But we wanted to grab a word with Lee before things started tonight, because this is his 14th appearance here at the Modus Super Series. Lee, welcome back to the Modus Super Series. You are part of the family now. This is your 14th appearance. How does it feel coming back so many times?
Yeah, I love it down here. Seem to struggle for some reason. Things don't go my way, but always enjoy coming down here.
It's a really interesting group you've got tonight. A lot of strength. You've got Shane McGuirk in there, the WDF champ. Scott Campbell, who had a brilliant run in the last series. What do you make of it?
Yeah, I mean, on paper, you could say this is a finals night. It's not going to be... There's no easy games. There never is. But, yeah, this is one of the strongest I've been in.
You're here with Carl Wilson, someone that you know quite well. He's been doing pretty well in the southeast region. Is it nice to have a bit of an ally in the practice room for maybe some of the games when you don't have to play them?
Yeah, to be fair, you get on with everyone in the rooms anyway. I seem to get on with a lot of people, so it doesn't matter who I'm down here with. We have a laugh and a joke, you know, and then when it's up there, it's go to work. If
you make Saturday this week, is that something that you will treasure as much as your 9-darter when you hit it here?
Probably more, yeah. It's a very tough group, but if they go, I'll be there Saturday.
Well, as far as the next 2 days are concerned, you've got the first game on Thursday night. You've also got the last game. Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
We'll find out at the end of Friday.
Thanks, Lee. All the best.
Thanks, mate.
Yeah, Lee Cox in his interview there looking a little bit pensive at the start, but it is the responsibility of the interviewer sometimes to try and bring out a little bit of relaxation. I was just starting to sense a little bit more of that from Coxie at the end of that one. Having a little bit of a chinwag with the very loquacious referee that is our friend Grimy. There is Owen Binks. He's having a chinwag with both of them. So let's get down to business, shall we? Because that's what Lee Cox was saying in that brief chat. They can all have a bit of a laugh and a joke in the practice room, but when the 41-year-old from Crawley is back here at the Super Series on the stage, it's time to go to work. Isn't that right, Scott? He's the Aberdonian, and I'm sure he was disappointed not to win Group A over the last 3 days, because that broke a bit of a streak for him of winning groups. But all is not lost. And if you've been here as many times as, say, Lee Cox has, You get to know this place inside and out, and Campbell is getting very much up to speed with everything here at the Live Lounge.
First leg, it's Lee to throw first. Game on.
Been a bit of an indifferent year, hasn't it, really, for Lee Cox? When you look at what he was doing at the back end of last year, getting Pro Tour call-ups, winning games on the tour, and I remember speaking to Lee Cox a little bit a couple of years back, and he says when he gets to the point of winning a tour card, he thinks that's going to develop his game, and certainly getting those tour call-ups really did help elevate his game. And he was playing some really good stuff before a little bit of ill health sort of took him sidewards and meant that he wasn't able to go to Q School this year. Sort of in the recovery stage now in regards to getting his darts back to where it was that point last year, but what horrible timing that was for Lee Cox when he was making some real good progress.
I think it's important that when you're in a situation like that, you don't think it's the end of the world. If you do, that could really damage your confidence without you even throwing a dart. Anybody who contracted COVID in that time that none of us will ever forget, if that deprived you of
60
a work situation, if you're self-employed or something like that, it's important just to say, I had to get through it. And it's the same for Lee Cox at the minute.
140.
What he's got to do is ride the wave a little bit. And just understand that he's here now, and he has got a chance.
139. He requires 76.
Tops.
36.
Sails over the top.
Requires 78.
And Campbell has been a little bit off his game this week. But when he's off his game, he's still qualifying for Group B.
Quality operator, isn't he? Scott Campbell has been for many years and starting to apply himself. But Lee Cox looking to apply himself here in this opening leg. When you're just lacking a little bit of confidence, it can sometimes be the doubles that show themselves, but that will settle him down well. Last starting hand finds him. What probably helps him out a lot is a nice little local win. Played some good stuff. 21 players turned up last night for a bit of a knockout sort of event, round robin. 2 players qualifying, and Lee was telling me all the players that went to that, all the top players in and around the London area, had a bit of a knockabout last night. Lee Cox came out on top. What timing is that? The day before coming to here at the Super Series, when you maybe a bit void of confidence, when you've not been playing well on the Challenge Tour, to go up against a lot of players that you respect highly from your local area and come out the victor.
100.
I think it's massive. Any win is good. But when you're surrounded by quality and you are the last person standing, that means something. You and I have done exhibitions in the past, Matt, where it is knockout format. To some people watching in the audience, they might think it's just an exhibition.
83.
Still feels like a win, though, doesn't it? If you're the last person there.
Absolutely, and a lot of that goes down to the fact where you go, yeah, maybe it's not, but 55. I don't think I've ever played a game of darts where you've not wanted to win. And you know the other person wants to win. Yes, you can dismiss it after you've lost and go, it's okay, it's an exhibition, it don't hurt me, but it matters.
68.
It matters indeed. There's that little fire inside you that just does not want to be the person who shakes the other person's hand from the back of the oche. You want to be able to go and get your darts and say, this game is over on my terms. That's a nice recovery there from Campbell.
130.
That's an impeccable visit. It doesn't get any better than that from 169.
$60. Scott, you require 36.
This shot here is reminding me of 2012.
Game shot on the second leg.
But when James Wade
Scott
left 36 in a World Championship semi-final, he missed it.
Third leg, it's Lee to
It cost him
first.
his first
Game on.
ever World Final. May have even cost him the title. But that was not a double that Campbell would miss. And he's level at 1-1.
85.
I asked the question of Lee earlier tonight, Matt. Is it a strength having the first game of the group and also the last game of the group come the early hours of Saturday? What do you think?
91.
I think for Lee coming into this, I think he'll be okay with it. I think had you played a full week,
39.
I think it'd be a weakness because I think tiredness could kick in where for this he'd been able to prepare quite well. I mean, the ideal position is that of Carl Wilson, who comes in, he plays game number 3, so there's a couple of games to go on before him, so he's not too rushed
100.
before he takes to the stage, and it means his games are condensed to the fact it's on, off, on, off. It's the perfect dream position.
180.
A dream visit for Lee. Averaging mid-80s here. Campbell slightly better off average-wise. But that's not out of the ordinary for someone throwing second
140.
in the odd-numbered legs. He's done really well to leave a finish there.
59.
And you just
Scott, you
wonder if
require
Campbell's starting to warm
170.
up to a very dangerous level. Yes. What have you got on the button?
145.
He was never not going to go for that. He wasn't going to risk Lee Cox going for a 138 for free.
Well, we've heard that story before, haven't we?
60. Scott,
Yes,
you require
we have.
25.
Many times.
Oh, no. That wasn't ideal. So it's only one dart at double 4.
Game shot on the third leg.
And he gets it right.
Scott Campbell.
Shots like that really can bolster your
Fourth
confidence.
leg,
You've
it's
made a
Scott to throw
mistake.
first.
You've
Game
put
on.
it right. So if you're in a similar situation later in the game, you're going to believe that you're going to do it.
Oozes confidence, doesn't he? He's one of those people that even when
65.
they're not confident, they look like they are. And I remember during the time on the Pro Tour, there was a player who always seemed to do that for me, where
60.
even when they wasn't confident, just seemed to ooze it. That was Steve Brown.
I know exactly what you mean. It's the way he walks. He walks as if
95.
he's got £1 million in his pocket.
Probably has.
$59.
I can imagine that being a very big pocket, by the way.
100.
He's been doing that a lot this week. Campbell has been trying to force the dart into the 60, even though that bed is obscured.
40.
Oh, no. That is what's known as a Robin Hood.
There's a danger of frustration kicking in as well here for Lee Cox, because that situation's left him on what we talk about avoiding all the
81.
time. It's an unfortunate way to leave it, but even a maximum here still leaves Campbell with 6 darts.
100.
I just want to
Scott,
get your
you
opinion
require
about
160.
Lee's grip in the next leg. It is fascinating to see. So 160 finishes. Let's see if we're going to get one.
140.
Super close. He's already got the biggest finish of the week of 150. I almost raised the stakes.
He's teasing us, isn't he, to something a little bit bigger.
140. Scott, you require 20. Game shot on the 4 flag.
He's not teasing us
Scott
anymore.
Campbell.
I can't imagine Campbell's the kind of guy to
5th leg,
listen
it's
to
Lee to throw
Shakademus and
first.
Pliers.
Game on.
Not your kind of music either, is it, Matt?
No, that's not for me, that.
Tell us about this grip then, because
85.
he's using the Gezi Price dart, which is the dart he was using when he got his 9 darter here. But that grip of his is very intricate. It's almost as if he's cupping his hand like a flower. And it's a very delicate grip.
41.
And right at the front of the barrel as well, isn't it, that grip, which is just going to make the dart travel quicker.
100.
The important thing to note here when you watch Lee score the next time is that the position of the flight when he throws the dart is higher than the point.
57.
He's actually throwing the flight over the top. Watch this. See that white flight? Higher than the point. He's throwing it over the top. And somehow
61.
the dart goes upright when it hits the board. The majority of people who throw flight over the top get the darts to land flat.
You probably find that when you have a look at
60.
the dart fly through the air, we have an arc, don't we, in regards to it's like a rainbow. You probably find Lee's a little bit more like a triangle in how the dart flies,
57.
which will just make you struggle at times with height. And if Lee will have a weakness in his game, you imagine its darts going low. With that angle of entry, the last thing you want is a dart to go low. 'Cause you're gonna start blocking up the treble.
140. $125.
Good visit from Lee. Puts himself into position to take this into leg number 6. Well, he doesn't like that because it's hit the board and flopped down, which makes it a risk to get another 57. Still a brilliant visit.
137. He requires 73.
To save the match. Tops needed.
Game shot on the 5th
Beautiful
leg.
save from Cox.
Lee Cox.
You could say very crafty.
6th leg, it's Scott to throw first. Game on.
If he was stuck on a desert island and he wanted to get off it, would he be rafty Coxy?
83.
You know you can make these things with AI these days. Somebody send me an AI with Rafty Coxey.
85.
I'm getting a mental projection of Lee with no hair out of place, in a Chelsea shirt, on a raft, just off the coast of the Seychelles.
Right, so my image was very different. I imagined Lee being the raft
125.
with people on top of it.
Okay, you just trumped it. I want to see a raft made out of Lee Coxes.
How our brains work so differently.
140.
I really hope that's tickled the people who are watching Lee tonight. We've gone down the rabbit hole.
Game 1 of 10.
100.
Well, this has got to be two treble nature, you feel.
140.
I'm not going to be returning that crystal ball. That was a really good shot from Lee. Campbell has been doing this all week, trying to create that angle to try and nestle it in off the stem. He's trying to figure out if there's an easier finish by using the 25 here. Or is he going to gamble on the 60?
60.
It hasn't paid off.
They rock 136.
And now, you'd imagine Lee Cox, big favourite here, to break the throw and to take this the distance.
60.
Should he have switched after dart
Scott,
1?
you require 130.
Debatable. He's going to go 57 first because that's the right thing to do.
57. Lee requires 76.
Lee has been averaging in this game 84 and change for almost the entire match.
56.
And it is a match he might
Skoy can
lose.
require 76.
Because Campbell has had a better average pretty much since the middle of leg 2. This is his first opportunity to get it ended, and he might have to do it on the bull.
He won't be rushed.
He hasn't won the match right there. That should have been
20.
a dart at the outer ring. What's going on with his right arm? He looks a little bit uncomfortable.
No score.
Lee Cox cannot believe that he has not found double 10 there. He had the line right, but unfortunately,
37.
he was aiming at the wrong segment outside the double 10.
Looking a bit fidgety here, isn't he, Scott Campbell? Not looking too settled.
It is the win, though. You don't see a
match.
37 checkout
Scott
very
Campbell.
often, but Campbell's got one. And that is a very decent start. He hasn't missed that many doubles in that game. Only 3 of them, in fact. He did make a few errors, but he made up for every single one of them. Average just shy of 90, and that's slightly above what he's done this week. He wins in 6 legs and takes the first 2 points of Group B.
Are you ready to lift that trophy, Darius? Yes. Let's do it then. Ladies and gentlemen, your Modus Super Series 9 champion is Lucky D, Darius Labanowski!
Well, what a wonderful night of darts we have seen, and we are ready. Our champion is ready, and it's trophy time. So receive the trophy. £25,000. The new Modus Super Series champion, the Terminator, Marvin Van Velzen. And one more time, the 8th Modus Super Series champion, the Terminator, Marvin Van Velzen. And the new Modus Super Series champion is Andreas Dirty Harrison. And one more time, the 7th Modus Super Series champion. Give it up for Andreas Dirty Harrison.
The moment we've all been waiting for. Would you please show your appreciation for your Series 6 Modus Super Series champion, Scott Taylor?
One more time, your new Modus Super Series champion. He is Chucky. He is Jim McGuire.
A very warm welcome back, and we are at the live lounge to welcome back the WDF champion of the world. Shane McGuirk will grace us with his presence, and we can now refer to him as the WDF champion of the world, but also the Series 10 Week 4 winner, embellishing his ever impressive and improving reputation. But he's up against another weekly winner from the previous series, and that is Sam Spivey. Henry Deacon's not here, so we're not going to give him the nickname that he doesn't like. We're going to call him Seaside Sam for 2 days. And he's up against Arrow. Any idea why he's called Arrow, Mr. Edgar?
Because
it's Shane to throw
he's
first.
a big fan of Bo Greaves.
Game on.
And he thinks it'd be the best mixed pairs name ever.
Bow and arrow and arrow.
140.
Do my eyes deceive me, or does Shane McGuirk have a new set of barrels?
Nice shiny new set of barrels.
140.
Nice new shirt as well.
Oh, look at you putting WDF World Champion on your shirt. Fancy.
60.
Star on the back there as well.
Just to remind everybody, like we don't know already.
97.
By the way, you can sense a tinge of jealousy in the voice. I actually really like it. The only thing you're missing, Shane,
140.
wherever you go, you should have a belt over your shoulder that says champ.
Well, remember when he first started coming to the Super Series, he used to stand his case up for us, didn't he? With all his
94.
branding and things on.
61.
Seems to have been eliminated from the Shane McGuirk game over time.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of that. I used to really like the case.
59. Sam, you require 107.
I think you should go back to basics, Shane.
$100.
It's a really nice last dart from Spivey. Does Shane get a dart or double here? Fascinating.
Game Sean the first.
My
hand.
word.
Shane McGuirk.
Audacious and a little bit lucky.
Second leg, it's Sam to throw first. Game on.
Well, the thing is, he might not have the whole dart case like he used to, but he might just have his own doll on the
100.
stage.
Looks like a Funko Pop.
It's a what and a who now?
92.
I wouldn't be surprised if that's even a Shane McGuirk custom Funko Pop.
Are we talking the same language?
41.
I know what you mean. He's got a somewhat animated figure of himself attached to the dart case.
100.
I shall name it Mini Shane.
It is a Funko Pop for sure, and that is a custom Funko Pop.
100.
You know you've made it when you got your own Funko Pop.
There's not many dart player Funko Pops. I think Barneveld's got one. Luke Littler's surely got one.
99.
I think Stephen Bunting's got one as well.
That I can believe. But there's only one dart player in the history of the
100.
sport who has had his own Lego figure.
It's Barney as well, isn't it?
Snakebite Peter Wright.
41. Sam, you require 106.
Well, Shane is going to be chastising himself for leaving 169. He cannot believe it.
I have just done some research and found there is actually a John Henderson Funko Pop.
Want one right now. Get it ordered.
$81. Sam, you require 100.
Is Spivey going to take out this ton to equalise in the second match of the evening? That wasn't part of the plan. Neither was that.
34.
Well, McGuirk took out
Shane McGuire,
102
88.
a very unusual way. Is this a bit more textbook? Double 7.
81.
Wow.
Sammy McGuire, 66.
Chose the wrong club there, Shane. Lovely dart. Double 12. Maturity there from Sam. Wasn't ready. Oh, boy.
42.
He props up the blocker
Shane
dart
McGuire, 7.
and may just pay the price for those 2 misses.
Game shot on the second leg.
McGuirk stretches his
Shane
legs with a
McGuire.
20 dart break of throw.
The leg, it's Shane to throw first.
Over the next 2
Game.
nights, Matt, I want us to delve into Irish darts. The World Cup team next week for Ireland is Keane Barry
140.
and William O'Connor. Willie is, of course, a former finalist in 2019 with Steve Lennon, the man known as Scuba Steve.
121.
But Irish darts has had a huge footprint for the best part of the last half century.
85.
Who has written the best story so far?
I think there's loads of really good ones for different reasons. But when you mention that,
100.
I mean, instantly you got to think of people like Darryl Gurney, who's won major titles. But for some reason, the first person I thought of was Felix.
180.
Felix the Cat. Felix McBrearty, the name that should never be forgotten. Even though Chris Mason
60.
wants us to forget his name.
Shane
Great
McGuire,
catch, Sam.
96.
Would stick you in the slips of the Modus Super Series cricket team.
Catch of the day.
$72.
It's a good fix. Very good indeed. This isn't vintage McGuirk, but it's not bad. Neither's that.
180. Shane McGuire, 24.
First 180 of the game, but is it too late? Double 6. Oh, no.
22. Sammy McGuire, 40.
Just work your way in.
Game
Just
shot on the
tap
third
it
leg.
in.
Sam
This
Spivey.
is not Happy Gilmore, but there's a very happy Spivey.
Full flag, it's Sam to throw first. Game on.
You're quite a well-travelled man. You ever been to the hometown of Sam Spivey, Scarborough?
Yeah, I've been there a couple of times.
Nice
100.
place. Used to holiday there. Favourite thing about Scarborough? The Harbour Bar. Ice cream parlour. 1945 it originated. Selling
100.
homemade ice cream. And you can go there now and for a £5 you get a cone the size of your arm and they'll fill it with whippy ice cream. And they've got like 26 different flavours. Oh, it's fantastic.
140.
Favourite flavour?
Banana. Banana whippy ice cream.
100.
If anybody out there thinks we've lost our mind, there are plenty of sports radio shows that talk about chocolate bars and snacks. And when you bring up Scarborough, you think of ice cream and fish and chips.
180.
And as soon as we start talking about that, Sam Spivey comes to life.
Feels at home again, doesn't he?
120. Sammy McGuire, 81.
He might not like ice cream, but he's looking for a nice, clean 81.
Game shot on the
That'll
full
do.
flag.
12 darter
Sam
back in the game.
Spivey. Fifth leg, it's Shane to throw first. Game on.
There you have it. 26 darts for the last 2 legs. Turning up the heat and inviting the champ
180.
into a much better game now, both averaging north of 96.
This is the quality that we expected to see, isn't
95.
it, this evening? This is the quality I think everyone, when we saw this Group B lineup, thought we're going to get these sort of head-to-head clashes where two people really start to bring the best out in each other.
$100.
Is this where McGuirk stops the rot? It hasn't lasted long. It's only about 3.5 minutes to 4 minutes
94.
for Spivey to take the last two legs. He was just checking to see if that was a treble.
130.
They were.
Require 107.
He's done really well to leave a finish.
$80.
Oh, that's a good last
require
start.
167.
He doesn't get that treble. It's a bad visit. Something's brewing. Could be a bullseye finish,
95.
but not
Change of require 90.
for the man from Scarborough. It's not the bull. But it is that. And a 3-2 lead.
Fifth leg. Shane McGuirk.
Doubling has been almost the same for these
Flag,
two.
it's Sam to throw first. Game on.
Hovering around the 40% mark, the two of them.
I'm noticing a bit of a growing trend, though, at the moment with dart players. And it's interesting to me because it's
57.
something I could never imagine myself doing. Having some form of bracelet or something on the throwing hand.
100.
Something that Peter Wright has done for years.
We even have people now with watches and loosely fitted, so you can see it moving while they're throwing.
58.
I'm definitely not on board with that. But you can see what Shane is wearing on the right wrist there. I'm not 100% certain about what it is. I have an inkling. But it's the kind of thing that Rory McIlroy used to use on the golf course. I think it's something to do with negative ions.
140.
A lot of people believe that's a placebo effect. But if it makes him comfortable when he's playing, well, we're not going to argue, Shane. Especially when you're doing that.
180.
This leg, ton 140, 180. And the average gradually climbing towards the 100 mark.
60.
It will only be a 100
81.
average if he takes this out in 2. And that's not going to happen. But he might still win.
41.
Not on this occasion, but he will be back. Sam Spivey not on the finish. McGuirk just allow plenty of time to get himself
60.
set to prepare
Require 40.
to get some points on the board.
To follow Scott Campbell to 2 points. Very well done. Shane McGuirk is back at the Modus Super Series, and he's back winning games against very dangerous opponents. Spivey pushed him, winning legs 3 and 4 in 26 darts. But after that, Shane McGuirk had the answers. He shades the averages. He does get enough chances to win the match, and eventually he wins it by 4 legs to 2.
$54. Charlie McGuire, 164. $44. $32. Charlie McGuire, 120.
Well, 120. He's got a fair, at least 2 handfuls at this. Just needs to stay
60.
there. That's a good shot. Halves his score. Leaves himself on a 2-darter.
26. Charlie
Time on his
require
side
60.
to become back-to-back singles champion.
Definitely a couple of nerves in those last two darts, but he'll be coming back.
It's a moment he's been in before this situation. Standing at the back of the stage,
Charlie
approaching the
required
Oki with a
20.
chance to win the title.
He did this to win the first title, if you remember.
11.
I think he's gone.
Georgia
I think
require
he's gone to
118.
bust it, maybe. The first title he wanted 20. He went 6-7-7 to win it. He had a chance to replicate it again.
Yeah, I get the feeling that was for a bust. And
39.
on that situation there, George Skoy wasn't even able to take it out going to the 18s on that switch.
Yeah, I think he just panicked a bit, but he's done well to get that big one.
Sometimes can be the hardest part.
Georgia requires
This is it.
79.
It's got to be 19s. It's got to be 19s for this shot. Big 20 and a double. He's got the first one. He's going to get a match dart here.
$59. Charlie
Threw the entire
require
body into that
8.
one. Just didn't want to let go of the dart.
No score.
He's given George a chance.
Georgia require 20.
I think George has been quite good on double 10 today.
So many opportunities for Charlie Murphy.
Go
Couldn't get the job
it.
done.
Got in the match. And the Red Dragon
George
Modus
Skoy.
Super Series Influencers Champion, George Skoy.
We're already into match number 3 after a couple of very, very good contests to start our Group B action in week 4. We welcome back Lee Cox, who did lose 4-2 in his first game to Scott Campbell, but it's a welcome back to the man from Royal Tunbridge Wells. What a fine town that is. Always nice to start a town with Royal. But this is the man from Crawley. Not that far from Royal Tunbridge Wells. It's about a 45-minute drive from West Sussex to the coast of Kent. And when I say the coast, I mean the border. But Wilson has really been an excellent acquisition to the Super Series when he's been here the last 12 months.
Game on.
He is gradually getting better every single time he comes here. And if he keeps that going this week, he's on track for that elusive win.
60.
But that is something that Lee Cox dearly craves himself. What are we really expecting from Carl Wilson this week, Matt?
27.
I think he's expecting to come here and pick up the title. He's a confident player. He's had success here. Wants to build on that. He's starting well here, and it poses that question for me every single time when you get this dynamic where you got a player like Lee Cox who's been on the stage already, had a negative experience in defeat.
180.
Who do you rather be? Do you rather be Wilson coming up and having the first match of your night, or would you rather be Lee Cox who's been up there already? I think it always
60.
poses a lot of questions, certainly in those tight scenarios.
26.
Maximum 26. It's normally the joke on the exhibitions.
3 words. Back to normal.
95.
That's what people say locally. If you hit a 180 followed by a really small score.
30. Carly Rock 112.
That will sting a bit. Wilson's got this leg in the palm of his hand. He's looking at double 16.
80.
No panic. He will return.
Is that, again, though, a sign of a player a little bit void of confidence to hit a maximum and follow it with 26
Carly
and
required
then a 30?
32.
Potentially. And one of the drawbacks of having the first
Game
2 games of your campaign in the first 3 games of the group is that if you don't win either of them,
second leg is lead to throw
people
first.
are going to overtake you really quickly. And Wilson starts off with a really tidy first leg here in 17 darts. Ominous.
100.
These flights have always interested me. It's as if he took a usual
100.
150 micron ruthless flight, put it in the wash and it shrunk. Because it is smaller than standard. I don't know many dart players that use these flights.
I'm going to go as far as say
60.
They're that unusual. I've not even done a study on them, and I've studied pretty much all the flights and the equipment, but not these. And I think the reason I ignored them is because I thought no one uses them.
Maybe Wilson bought them all.
Well, that's the beauty, isn't it, of using something unusual. You know one day it's going to go on sale.
If he starts getting that first start right, everything will feel a little bit easier.
180.
He might be lacking in a bit of confidence from the last few weeks, but
174.
that's another 174 from Wilson. 2 legs, 2 174s.
Carly Rock 109.
Lee Cox has got 2 maximums and he might be 2-0 down. What a great dart.
91.
So many moving parts to his throw.
Game show on the second.
But Cox survives.
Lee Cox.
That could have been a lot worse.
Third leg, it's
inhale,
Cole to
exhale,
throw
and move
first.
on.
Game on.
Look at that. That's after 2 legs. And what do you make of this throw?
100.
So many moving parts in the upper body department. It's all about timing, isn't it?
Well, we've got potentially
100.
another 5 legs. I don't think I've quite got long enough to break it down, to be honest, in 5 legs, because there's so much going on.
6.
The alignment is slightly off. The posture, the balance, the release, he's throwing across himself. It's one of those sort of throws that when it's going right, it's good, but
100.
when it's not going, it's so hard to adjust, and he'll probably feel that he's doing exactly the same thing. And it's one of those that's really hard to rectify in the heat of battle.
It's not the kind of throw you want to mimic.
$39.
But it seems to work really well for him. And more power to him. But there are so many moving parts. The elbow, the right shoulder.
41.
The follow through isn't linear. It's like trying to survey the flexibility of a piece of spaghetti. Sometimes
56.
you just don't get technical and you just admire what the result is.
$96.
Because usually the results with Wilson are very good.
There's definitely a player there, isn't there?
100.
Absolutely. He's
Carly
been
require 104.
jostling with Adrian Gray in the southeast region with ADC darts. Basically those two going hammer and tongs. And look at that. That's one of the reasons why that system is pretty much at his feet.
Lead to throw first. Game on.
Well, every leg he's had a dart for a big checkout. 112, 19. On this occasion, it's gone. He's been teasing it. He's been getting close.
140.
I think one of the things I do like about Carl Wilson there was just back to the stage, head down. It's just a leg. Let's see if we can get that breaker through.
140.
You know, in the first game, I was calling Lee Rafty Coxey. If he's trying to get off a desert
45.
island, he might want to take his trusty volleyball with him.
Wilson?
Yeah.
100.
See, now you've got a mental image of a volleyball with a picture of Carl Wilson's face on it.
54.
No, I'm still with Lee Cox being a raft, just with Carl Wilson sat on him.
Hey, darts merchandise has got to get in on this. We need some Carl Wilson volleyballs and some Lee Cox rafts.
140.
Hey, we've got the John Henderson yoga mat.
92.
Make
Not only
it
require
happen.
121.
And it wouldn't be the worst piece of darts merchandise. That still belongs to Jamie Caven.
Yes, it does. Well, Lee Cox has got a 9-darter on this
He require
stage.
170.
He would love a 170 right now. Go on, Lee. You know you want to.
145.
My word, the
Oh,
weight
he
of dart was
requires
perfect. It was
24.
just a centimetre off. Oh, it's a
Game
beautiful
shot on the fourth
dart.
flag. Carl Wilson.
Seriously impressive.
Fifth flag, it's
He
Carl
could only
to
see
throw
half of that
first.
bed.
Game on.
If you're not impressed by the way that Carl Wilson is playing right now, have a word with yourself.
$84.
Just needs a better nickname, doesn't he?
I'm sure you'll give him plenty of choices.
I say it every time he comes here.
70.
He is an excellent player. I do believe that over the next 2 or 3 years, he's going to do something very important.
45.
And he should be doing that with a better nickname than Gok.
The volleyball. The castaway.
95.
You're getting close.
Carl Wilson.
80.
He's probably not the most famous sporting Wilson at this stage. Gary Wilson in snooker's rather good.
85.
But he should have a dart shirt that is... It's got the volleyball on the back.
$100.
Just got a really good confidence about him right now. Whoever he plays, wherever he plays, whether it's Championship Tour with the ADC, whether it's here or close at home, he's got decent experience in all of these arenas now. And one of the reasons why he's constantly back here
96.
is because he warrants a
He
place.
require 111.
Great dart, double top, needed.
71.
And that could be the end.
Totally require 96.
Wilson's average is just a shade under 91. And he's decided not to go double-double.
56. Lee require 40. Game shot on the
Very
fifth
well
leg.
found.
Lee Cox.
Both of our first and second games
Sixth leg, it's Lee to throw
did
first.
finish with
Game
4-2 scorelines. This could be the same if Wilson wins this leg against the throw.
100.
You ever seen Lee Cox's darts flying through the air? It's like they do a pirouette.
Yeah, a lot of that will come from that grip, won't it? That we
81.
sort of analysed a little bit in his opening game, the 4-2 defeat to Scott Campbell. And it will just flicker a little bit sort of out to the side and then sort of recover themselves again. But they're recovering themselves well and landing exactly where he wants them to. This is a good show of character here from Lee Cox.
140.
Absolutely. He's got a very graceful throw. I can imagine if Fred Astaire was going to throw darts, this is how he would do it.
24.
Oh no, not one of those visits. That's the last thing he wanted.
$60.
Has to recompose.
$140.
I only have one word for that visit. Bravo. The recomposure, the execution, and the thought of getting the 140 to leave 97. But he needs another brilliant visit. And he needs it right away.
57.
He's not going to be saying, I'm sorry, Wilson. Because it looks like Carl might be saying, I'm sorry, Lee.
$70.
No apologies yet.
Require 40.
Game 3 might be going all the way.
I think Lee Cox thought that was job done, though, when the treble 20 went in. We saw him at the back of the stage, shaking his head, probably thinking, is anyone going to miss?
7
they
for
did.
final leg. It's Cole to throw first.
Lee Cox taking advantage. We
Game
go
on.
the distance.
Maybe Carl's nickname should be Jockey. That might be a little bit disrespectful to the
140.
two-time world champion, John Thomas. Because there's only one jockey.
60. $60.
His concentration around that treble 20 is very impressive. Even when he's getting a visit like that, it still looks good.
60.
Losing ground with trebleless visits. And there's more bad news when you look at the board.
81.
It could have been a lot worse.
Only a maximum really puts Lee into play here. And all he's got to do now is just sort of hit and hope. He's looking for mistakes here from Wilson, who, other than a couple of match darts, hasn't made too many of them.
How did he hit that treble 20 there? He had about 15% of the bed to aim at.
100.
Well, that was a safe dart, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was mega safe.
58.
He's got the luxury of safe darts like that because it's 6 darts from here. He could even just go up and hit 3 singles. Maybe not.
100.
Didn't do a McGuire, who earlier on bust the 120 with a couple of trebles.
Yeah, I think McGuire is
77.
wanting us to stop talking about that. Unfortunately, we will have to reference
20.
that from 1 o'clock tomorrow when we cover the end of Group C. It might be the end of Lee Cox in this game.
50.
Not just yet.
Lee require 140.
Wilson has had 2 visits to win this match. He will get a third.
60. Carly require 5.
Lee's had 6 visits to win the game. He can't ask for much more than that in a group like this.
No score.
It turns out you can ask for more.
Require 86.
Can he finish the job? Bullseye.
6.
It was right on line this time. It's the weight of dart that lets him down. Double 1 again. And the same happens. I've actually lost count of how many match starts he's had. I didn't think he was going to miss. Lee Cox didn't think he was going to miss.
9.
Now they've both missed to take the valuable 2 points.
5.
Third time on a 5 checkout.
One.
How is Lee Cox still
They
in
require
this game?
16.
Is he ready to finish it off? He does finish it off, and he will not understand what's just happened. Sometimes you do need a little bit of fortune. And Crafty Coxie is trying to figure out how he's got his first 2 points. I think Carl Wilson is saying to the referee, I just couldn't find that match start. His average dives at the end, but unfortunately for Carl, he didn't get the final double, and Lee Cox steals it in the last leg for a 4-3 win. Thanks for your company this evening on Pluto TV. We are live and we are exclusive to Pluto TV for this fourth game of the evening between Scott Campbell and Shane McGuirk. Two players that started with a win tonight, and someone's about to go to 2 wins from 2. McGuirk with a very good display, averaging 96 against Sam Spivey in a 4-2 win. Campbell beating Lee Cox, who has just joined the club, on 2 points with a very mystifying display against Carl Wilson. We'll get more into that in our next game, which we'll see Wilson
it's Scott to
return against Spivey.
Game on.
Always good to see a confusing fist pump there. I would advocate, Matt Edgar, for there to be some sort of training for dart players. So there's a shaking of the hands before the practice starts, and when you're about to start, you have a fist bump.
100.
Should there be some sort of etiquette here?
I think maybe the handshake is certainly overdone nowadays in
57.
2025. I remember watching a game very recently. I was watching with a friend, and we was joking about the amount of handshakes, and we counted 11 at the end of a match. It was the handshake followed by a handshake and a handshake. You go shake the marker's hands and have a handshake there. Then they came back and had another hand, and it just got ridiculous.
121.
I take it you've never watched the Japanese Pro Tour, where there's a fist bump after every leg.
When I played in Canada, played in London, Ontario, and when you played the locals, they fist pumped you after every shot.
Yeah, that was a great place to play.
Yeah, there was an
95.
all-you-can-eat Chinese buffet for $4.95.
Dollars?
Dollars.
That's about £3.
The Dollarama actually had things in it for $1.
You're like the guy from the 80s movie. What was that?
148.
What was that? We've had some weird darts this week, but that is seriously one of the weirdest darts we've ever had here.
Got your McGuire, 13.
He's trying to stop himself from smiling. Oh, he nearly bust it. Oh, my. What are you doing to us, Scott?
Five. Shane
He
and McGuire,
had to have been put off by those
170.
previous 2 shots.
Well, it broke his concentration, was it? Because you said he's battling back the smiling, but he was actually laughing.
96. Got your McGuire, 8.
Yes, listen to Owen. You require 8. Just trying to slide it in off the left-hand side of the barrel. And very well done. That was quite eventful.
Scott Campbell. Second leg, it's Shane to throw first. Game on.
I don't know if you got that. That's the first time I've ever intentionally heard our referee sound like he's from Essex. Scott Campbell.
81.
It was very Russ Bray, actually. Like
It was a little bit, wasn't it? It was very West Ham.
$91.
You don't get many posh referees in this sport. It's a very working class sport. We've had some great referees here over the years.
55.
We used to have an Irish referee, Danny McNamara. Still works a little bit in darts on the Emerald Isle. And we've had the infamous Scottish call twice tonight
43.
from Owen Binks about the famous Dundas 174.
$100.
Big weekend of darts coming up because the Nordic Darts Masters is on in Copenhagen and the Women's Series is on this weekend. That's huge. That will finalise the race for the Women's World Match Play.
83.
Where do you stand, Matt? And I know this is a random question at this point of this game, but I'm intrigued. We don't have a female referee in the sport.
98.
Where do we find one?
I can't even think of one that's out there.
I sincerely hope there's somebody
121.
watching live on Pluto TV right now saying, hand in air, me. Well, if that's you, Might want to get out there and do something about it. Just like Shane did right there.
$95.
This is
Shane
a sport of
McGuire,
opportunity,
36.
and Shane McGuirk epitomises
Game show on
the
the
opportunity
second
side of it.
Shane McGuirk.
Over the last 12 months, he's made a lot of money.
Third-legged Scott to throw
He's
first.
changed his life. He has a star on his shirt now. Who knows where it will lead?
Well, we know where the plan is. We know where he wants to go. He wants to go to the Pro Tour. He wants to get that tour card. He'll attend Q School
89.
every year until he gets there, or until he gets it via the Challenge Tour Order of Merit, of which he'd have a bit of work to do in 2025.
96.
Yeah, that Order of Merit at the minute. It's a fascinating race. Darius Labanauskas at the top of it, closely followed by Stefan Belmont.
95.
But of the people in the top 10, Matt, who's the one that you've got your eye on the most?
Well, Shane McGuirk to get to the top 10. He's got a long way to go. He's in number 32 at the moment
59.
and quite adrift. Scott Campbell, just one pace outside. He's in number 11. And then Herrick, who's our Group A winner, he's in the top 10. Just inside there. But I think if you go away from the obvious
26.
of Beau Greaves, I like the recent form and the recovery and the second wave of Ted Everts. I think we're getting a developing player here who's going to be better than he was the first time round.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with that. Really good to see Ted playing some great darts recently. No, he didn't pay me to say that. Even though he did leave me some chocolates the last time he was here.
100.
They were made by him.
I've had one of his chocolates, actually. They're quite good.
Yes, they are.
83.
Which I know people who make things like that don't like the feedback of, oh, that's all right, or that's quite good.
I wonder if Scott Campbell can make truffles or some form of
79.
chocolates. I do
Shane
believe he's a
McGuire,
rather
126.
handy cook. What's cooking, Shane?
Game
Bingo.
shot on the third leg.
Just what the doctor
Shane
ordered.
McGuirk.
Great shot.
Fourth
There's
legged
something to be
Shane
said
throw
about a
first.
central bullseye.
Game on.
But then again, when you get his attack angle, there's something about hitting it right at the top of that bullseye segment as well. Nice and positive.
58.
Hidden talents of dart players might be a feature you just stumbled across there, though. Be interesting to know what people's, not so much party pieces are, but what is their
55.
sort of little thing. Everyone's going to have something, aren't they? An expertise or a skill in a different area.
100.
Well, Trina Gulliver can make anything out of wood. She can make clocks. She showed me some of the pieces. Absolutely sensational. I bet you weren't expecting that, Matt.
100.
What do you think Shane's would be?
I reckon he writes a bit of poetry. For children's books.
Are you trying to tell me that Shane McGuirk is the Dr. Seuss of the darting world?
There is actually a player, isn't there?
100.
Aidan Kirk.
Yes, that's true. We were reciting limericks the last couple of days.
$83. Shane McGuire, 104.
More on Shane McGuirk poetry after this. Well, that doesn't help him, and Campbell is starting to lose ground in this game at an alarming rate.
80.
Too many times this week his average is starting to dip under 80. And McGuirk's not going to have any of that. He's a good 14 points ahead of him. $
104. 40. Shane McGuire, 24.
Very
Games on
good
the
from
fourth
McGuirk.
leg.
He takes a
Shane
3-1 lead.
McGuirk.
He's playing well, and Campbell, not so much.
Fifth leg, it's Scott to throw first.
But it's all about the doubling here for Shane.
Game on.
3 from 3. And on top of what he's done in his first game, he is now 7 from 14 for 50% for the night. That part of his game, there's very little wrong with that.
140. $44.
Just looking at the rankings to see if I can spot any more little hidden gems or like little secret like skills of various players.
58.
And do you know what? A lot of the players I'm looking at here really good at playing computer games.
Oh, Jeffrey Desvaughn is the best.
I heard Luke
58.
Humphries is quite good as well.
James Hubbard used to have a national top 10 ranking at Call of Duty.
That's what Luke plays with Ryan. They play Call of Duty. And what's the other one with the
41.
cartoony one? Fortnite.
I can imagine Luke Humphries having all the kit.
In fact,
96.
Speaking of Fortnite, Alex Spellman, who comes here to the Super Series, worked on the development of it.
He certainly does. Lives in Boone, North Carolina, and is actually working for the company that created that game.
$58.
He's been playing some good darts of late in North America. But at the Toronto Open last weekend, it was Leonard Gates who won,
95.
beating Jeff Smith in the final. And we will see Jeff Smith back here in August after he won week 1. Jeff Smith can paint a mean car.
60.
I'm not talking about a micro machine. I'm talking about a hot rod.
$123. Scott, you require 144.
Basically put, if Campbell doesn't hit this, Shane will probably finish the match. Because at the minute, he's finishing so well, he'd probably finish soup with chopsticks.
$86. Shane, you require 85.
Tops.
Game
Magnificent.
shot on the match.
It doesn't get any
Shane
better than that.
McGuire.
4 out of 4 on the doubles. And we warned you, if you didn't take your 144 out, McGuirk was going to eat that one up. And the WDF champ is the first person to 4 points in this table. He may just be already halfway to the mark that will get him into another Saturday night, winning by 4 legs to 1.
Are you ready to lift that trophy, Darius? Yes. Let's do it then. Ladies and gentlemen, your Modus Super Series 9 champion is Lucky D, Darius Labanowski!
Well, what a wonderful night of darts we have seen, and we are ready. Our champion is ready, and it's trophy time. So receive the trophy. £25,000. The new Modus Super Series champion, the Terminator, Marvin Van Velzen. And one more time, the 8th Modus Super Series champion, the Terminator, Marvin And one more time, the 7th Modus Super Series champion. Give it up for Andreas Dirty Harrison!
The moment we've all been waiting for. Would you please show your appreciation for your Series 6 Modus Super Series champion, Scott Taylor!
One more time, your new Modus Super Series champion. He is Chucky. He is Jim McGuire.
Ladies and gentlemen, your Modus Super Series champion, retaining his title, the Nuke, Luke Littler!
It's going to be Wilson coming back to the hockey for our 5th game of the evening. He's going to be up against Sam Spivey, who lost his first game to Shane McGuirk, averaging nearly 95. Interesting dynamic coming into this one, because we actually lost count of how many darts Carl Wilson had to win his first game of the night against Lee Cox. 4-3 it was to the man from Crawley. And now he has to take on the very dangerous Sam Spivey of Scarborough to get off the mark. And this is a battle of two players who are looking to get off the mark right now. And if they don't,
Sam to throw first. Game
someone
on.
is going to be pointless after the first 25% of play in this group. How, Matthew Edgar, does Wilson respond after that puzzling
48.
third game of the night?
I'd like to see no response from him, to be honest, and just sort of get on with things. But the danger is that you can sort of have that lag even in success. I see so many times players in these sort of situations take the double out first dart and almost stand there presenting it, saying, why couldn't I have done that before? Where was you 20 minutes ago? And the key part of that is, that was 20 minutes ago. It no longer matters.
I'm convinced, after
44.
seeing Sam play a little bit earlier, and what I'm seeing in his first game here, is that morning darts doesn't suit him. He did finish second in Group A,
99.
to his credit. Got 18 points and was only 2 behind Jemai van den Herik at the end of the 45-game group.
100.
But he just looks more comfortable later in the day. And considering that he has been a chef in the past as well, maybe that's something to do with
58.
that profession.
It is a hard time slot to play, isn't it, in 9:30 in the morning, because you need a couple of hours practice to feel comfortable, to feel ready to perform at your best. So
133.
that's
Candy Rock
7:30.
116.
Then you've got to get up, get ready, have your breakfast. So now we're talking 6:30, 6 o'clock.
Game shot.
What we're talking about is a 1-0
there.
lead for Spivey.
Sam Spivey.
He has got a
Second leg,
perfect
it's
record
Cole
of
to throw
making
first.
Saturdays
Game on.
when he comes here. He finds more legs like that, he'll be here on Saturday night.
95.
We've had quite a few really good cooks playing here at the Super Series. Ted Evans, Scott Campbell, Sam Spivey.
140.
There are also some people who come here who wouldn't be able to fry an egg.
100.
Glenn Durant didn't know how to use a washing machine. True story, had to show him when he was in the house.
80.
I was doing my washing, so we go back and said it's easy, get back, the missus will be happy when I've done it. He goes, oh, could you show me how to do that?
87.
I had no idea.
So he learned how to use a washing machine in his 50s.
Yeah. From me.
84.
I heard from a very reliable source once that former tournament director of the Professional Darts Corporation, Tommy Cox,
95.
he didn't do a single thing. He didn't even pack his own luggage. It's just next door. It's bad news, Sam. So it's going to have to be 17s.
73.
Worked out well, but Wilson can still equalise. Got to get to the bull here. Doesn't do so.
92.
So you would fear that Spivey is looking right down the barrel of another 5-visit leg.
Game shown the second
So well
leg.
pitched. He could have easily missed that in the gap between those two darts.
Third
But
leg, it's
identified
Sam
that
to
dart
throw
2 was the
first.
marker and
Game
threw
on.
it straight at it. In the past, Wilson really has started these groups well. Whether it's Group C or Group B, he's never
95.
failed to start well. Is this the first time where he will have to become the chaser?
Well, he's playing well.
85.
He's producing a performance here. The average is 97. But that's without getting a dart at a double. Maybe just feeling the heat a little
97.
bit tonight. Certainly when you look at that position of the zip.
Yeah, it can't go any further. Unless he gets the scissors out.
100.
Or does a Hulk Hogan and just rips it off. We're always looking for a viral moment. That would be it. Takes out the shot, rips it off.
96.
Pause in play. We need to get a new shirt.
He could rip the shirt off and his entire torso is just made of dart shirt.
60.
Got a start shirt tattooed on himself.
Yeah, but whose dart shirt? Could be Gezi Price's dart shirt and then he's got a 6-pack tattooed on him.
97.
Spivey is doing very little wrong here. This is so consistent.
$60. Sammy Brook 116.
I wouldn't be shocked if this goes. I'd be more surprised now. That's a really difficult blocker. He's going to persevere on the 60.
60.
When it's debatable that maybe he should have gone elsewhere.
$100. Sammy Brook 156.
Wilson is losing ground. Like Matt says, he has not had a dart at a double.
Game shown the
He hasn't
third
had
leg.
one.
Sam Spivey.
And Spivey has had 5 and hit 3.
Fourth leg, it's Cole to throw first. Game on.
This is a bit of a battering so far. But maybe it's being over-accentuated by the brilliant timing of Spivey.
I think that's what it is,
100.
because this isn't a bad performance from Wilson, but it is. It's a battering, isn't it? No darts at a double, despite 93 average, and it's been sort of around that area for the majority of the game, which makes you think
59.
if the game continues to carry on, eventually he's going to start getting opportunities.
Who's your favourite left-hander of all time, Matt?
96.
Favourite left-hander? The thing is, my mind's going blank, and I'm only
80.
coming up with 3 at the moment.
And they are?
James Wade, Mark Webster, and this one's a curveball that's coming into my mind. I've got 4 now. It's coming back to me. The other one was Lionel Sams.
Oh, okay.
And the one that's just come to me as well, so I've now got 4, is Alan Tabban.
145.
Ooh, the Saint. He's played here.
Do you know, I think for sheer comedy value and the amount of laughs I've had with the player, I'd have to go with Alan Tabban.
98.
He is a funny man.
Carly require 160.
This situation for Wilson is anything but funny.
60.
He's on a 2-darter, and that is the glass half full. The glass half empty is he could have had more there.
60. Carly require 100.
If he could just polish this off, he can then concentrate on breaking Spivey in the next leg.
60.
Yeah, sensible play there. He wasn't going tops before anybody asks. That was 3 singles.
140.
Now he needs to
Carly
hit
requires
it.
40.
First chance to keep Spivey away from the doubles. And that miss could be
20.
fatal.
Sammy
Like we mentioned, Spivey has been really good when he's got to the end product. 1 darter tops.
24. Carly require 20.
That is about as much of a reprieve as Wilson will get. And he takes full advantage of it. Well done, Carl. 20 darter needed
Sam to throw first.
to stay in the match. Not a bad performance. Average of 86, but he needed Spivey to have a bit of a leg off there to get on the board.
58.
And it'll feel relieving, not just because we've got a leg on the board in this match, but it'll feel relieving to hit a double after all the missed match darts he had against Lee Cox.
Yeah, great point.
84.
Some of the other great left-handers over the years. Alan Glazier, the Ton Machine, one of the better nicknames in darts from the 1980s.
100.
I think Mark Webster doesn't get anywhere near the credit he deserves for the player he was. Only 1 PDC title.
180.
But what people seem to forget about Mark is that he won the World Cup singles and the Europe Cup singles twice. Who can honestly say that they did that?
100.
Yeah, he was always a player that when he put on a Wales shirt, he
59.
turned into a different animal. And his World Cup record in the PDC is almost undescribable.
60.
He is genuinely one of the best PDC World Cup players ever.
I just can't think of any other left-handers.
58.
Kevin Spielek,
Yes.
Sean Palfrey.
I feel like we're missing some really obvious ones.
99.
Martin
Carly require
Phillips.
120.
Darren Young.
Big D. Could be a big W. In leg 5 for Carl.
100.
That could be his
Sammy
nickname,
require
Big
84.
W. But it could be an L as Spivey goes for 12s. That's now 3
72.
darts for the match missed.
Carly require 20.
It's not double 10 to the rescue,
Hey,
but it
he's
is
on the
double
5th
5.
leg. Carl Wilson.
That's a break of throw. And in
Leg, it's
true
Carl to
style,
throw
in
first.
week 4,
Game on.
what looked like it could be a 4-0 is now looking more likely to be a 4-3.
$140.
I cannot, off the top of my head, think of a left-handed lady.
135.
I'm supposed to be an expert in this sport.
$100.
I'm struggling. I can't even think of any tall players who are left-handed.
100.
I can think of another lefty.
I tell you, there's a young Irish girl at the moment. I think she's left-handed. Plays on the women's series. Give me a second. The name will
55.
come to me. Chelsea Campbell. I covered the women's series last time. You said.
Very good.
96.
Very good. Just like that leave from Spivey after 9. Alexander Oreshkin. The Russian Whitlock.
Yes.
174.
Is that the third 174 he's had tonight? Is it enough? Is it? Oh, it wasn't in.
120.
What a try from Spivey.
Carly McGuire, 32.
Well, Carl, take us all the way.
Game shown the
There we
sixth.
go. What a recovery
Go,
from Wilson. 3-0 down. Now it's 3-3. What happens next?
It's Sam to throw first. Game on.
If that was down the local, do you think Sam Spivey would have turned around to his team and said, that was in the ball?
100.
I think somebody would have said that, but not Sam. During a darts match, he talks about as much as a fish.
100.
But that's a good thing.
Yeah, I think as age goes on, I became one of those that talk quite a lot.
140.
And it normally is a slippery slope. You start off as being one of the people that call out your name. That's how it normally begins when you miss something, and you know the one that goes, AD or Mike,
83.
when they miss something. And then it slowly develops.
Yeah, I think Adrian Lewis is probably the most loquacious dart player I've ever met on the hockey.
140.
I think the strength of the player should sing on the dartboard. Leave the talking
100.
to the man with the mic. The only thing you want to hear is game shot in the match.
57.
This one is still very much in the balance if Wilson can find a 140. He's fought so hard just to get back into this game, winning the last 3 legs. It might be in vain. And there you have it. Sam Spivey gets off the mark.
Spivey.
A brilliant last leg in 15 darts. So what the man from Scarborough has done after taking the 3-0 lead and winning by 4 legs to 3 is he's had a bookend match. Started with a 15 darter, ended with a 15 darter, and the key thing is he gets the 2 points and takes us to half time.
$54. Charlie McGuire, 164. $44. $32. Charlie McGuire, 120.
Well, 120. He's got a fair, at least 2 handfuls at this. Just needs to stay
60.
there. That's a good shot. Halves his score. Leaves himself on a 2 darter.
$26. Charlie
Time on his
McGuire,
side.
60.
To become back-to-back singles champion.
Definitely a couple of nerves in those last two darts, but he'll be coming back.
The moment he's been in before this situation. Standing at the back of the stage, approaching the Yoki with a chance to win the title.
He did this to win the first title, if you remember.
11.
I think he's gone. I think he's gone to bust it, maybe. The first title he won, he wanted 20. He went 6-7-7 to win it. He had a chance to replicate it again.
Yeah, I get the feeling that was for a bust. And
39.
on that situation there, George Skoy wasn't even able to take it out going to the 18s on that switch.
Yeah, I think he just panicked a bit, but he's done well to get that big one.
Sometimes can be the hardest part.
Georgia requires 79.
This is it. It's got to be 19s. It's got to be 19s for this shot. Big 20 and a double. He's got the first one. He's going to get a match dart here.
Threw the entire body into that
8.
one. Just didn't want to let go of the dart.
No score.
He's given George a chance.
Georgia require 20.
I think George has been quite good on double 10 today.
So many opportunities for Charlie Murphy. Couldn't get the job done.
The match! And the Red Dragon
George
Modus
Skoy.
Super Series Influencers Champion, George Skoy!
Pass around the halftime oranges because we have reached the 50% mark on Thursday evening as we almost graze the midnight hour. Lee Cox did get off the mark in his second game against Carl Wilson in a befuddling game. And it is Carl who loses 4-3 twice and finds himself at the bottom of the table. But as for the top, we have a certain familiar name at the summit. Shane McGuirk on 4 points. He's played very well tonight with averages of 96 and 92. Cox, Spivey and Campbell in pursuit. And it will be Lee Cox about to take on Shane McGuirk in our 6th game of the night. A battle of the top two, but it's a somewhat loose term when they've only played a couple of games. But that, just like that, is 25% of the campaign already done. If Shane McGuirk were to win again, he would be 75% of the way to the magical 8 points, which most of the time will get you to Saturday night there, Matt.
And the way he's playing, you'd expect him to get there very, very quickly. Shane McGuirk, standout performer so far tonight. Wins over Sam Spivey, wins over Scott
First
Campbell.
leg, it's Lee to throw first. Game on.
And dare I say, despite the fact he's played well, averaging 96 and 92, it feels like there's still more in there.
44.
He definitely squeezed the lemon for all it had in the doubling department in the last match. 4 from 4. Doesn't get any better than that.
24.
Even the 4 from 11 in his first game against Spivey was pretty good.
140.
I'm reliably informed as well that
140
is a bit of a TikToker.
He really likes a bit of ticking and tocking.
81.
Does quite a bit of live streaming as well, where he'll put the camera on the board, have a few throws, have a chat.
96.
If I was up for a bit of TikToking, I would do that. I would tune in. he was going to have a practice session with someone, I'd probably put him with John O'Shea, last week's winner. So we always do have Irish representation when we have a series on.
140.
Not always do we have an Irish winner in Champions Week, but this time we will. But will we get more?
140. Shane McGuire, 101.
Where's he going? 19s? Say what you like, but that shot makes a lot of sense.
Just ended up being a little bit messy.
18. Shane McGuire,
Speaking of messy,
73.
Lee Cox is looking at that finish like a dropped bowl of spaghetti. Double top.
53.
You can see that lean of the dart of Shane, which is slightly left of centre. Okay. If you're going to miss, you're better off hitting that than the 9.
14.
We're not going to add that to the
20.
weird and wonderful finishes that we've seen over the course of Friday. Funny that, because it's Thursday.
16.
What sort of voodoo does Lee Cox have right now? Because he's just won the previous game with opponent Carl Wilson unable to take out the finish, and Shane McGuirk having the same issues.
Score.
But he does get another go. Lee Cox not able to capitalise
4.
on this occasion.
Yeah, the mysterious case of Lee Cox voodoo.
Game shot on the first leg. Shane McGuirk.
Reminds me of some lyrics from a Prodigy song.
Second leg, it's Shane to throw first.
Voodoo, hoodoo, don't dare do people. That's what they said.
59.
Not sure I've heard that song, to be honest.
It's a bit of an acquired taste.
I don't think it was on my Now That's What I Call Music CD.
Yeah, some of the early Prodigy work. Yeah, it was really interesting, to say the least.
140.
And we have the audacity to say these days, as people in our mid-40s, what on earth are these kids listening to these days? Take yourself back to the 90s and listen to some of the things that we liked. It was all a bit strange. We're not all like Michael Smith. Massive Whitney Houston fans.
162.
But we do like a bit of that.
Yeah, when you look back, you only remember the good times, don't you? But, you know, it wasn't all Britney Spears and Spice Girls. We had a bit of the rubbish in there as well.
McGuire, 140.
Yes. Double 10. And Shane McGuirk goes all snakebite on us. 302 in 6. That shot
the leg is Lee to throw first.
saved Peter Wright's World Championship in 2020. He would go on to beat Noel Malikdem and win the title. From one champ to another.
60.
Just a little bit over 5 years apart.
$115.
And he's doing it again. He just seems to love imposing himself on this stage.
57.
He's taking full advantage of Lee Cox firmly off the pedal.
55.
I don't know whether it's the lights in here, but that dart shirt of Shane McGuirk seems to have a very dark brown tinge to it.
150.
You don't see many dart players in brown.
Well, I know you're a big fan of individuality and word or colour association, so brown is an unclaimed colour. I mean, yellow, you think of Chizzy straight away.
I think Keegan Brown should have worn brown. He chose pink.
140, Libra 170.
You get more points for a pink than a brown. You get a lot of points for a 170 finish.
145, chain number 154.
Second time tonight, he's missed it on the bull. And Shane is finishing very well.
34.
Not this time, he's just a little
He
bit off
required
what he was doing
25.
earlier. An opening for Lee.
Game
That's
shot
a lovely
third
dart.
leg.
Much needed, because if he misses that, he is staring a very large defeat in the face.
Full flag, it's Shane to throw first. Game on.
Lee hails from Crawley
76.
in West Sussex, not far from Gatwick Airport. And that town has hosted many a Players' Championship and UK Open qualifier over the
41.
years.
The old K2.
Yeah, not far from the A23 motorway.
100.
Go a little bit further past the K2 and you'll find yourself not far from Brighton.
I would have said there's a really nice Chinese just round the corner from the venue, but then you'd notice there's a theme. Where everywhere we go, there seems to be a nice Chinese nearby.
Do you know what? In week one, we were saying, if you want to find good wings, follow Jeff
180.
Smith. If you want to find a decent Chinese, follow Matthew Edgar.
Oh, I've a Chinese connoisseur. I've tried many.
85. Chain number 145.
Well, he's had the 140 out. He's not going to add this to his ever-growing collection.
85.
Let's face facts, he didn't need to. Well, he did the right thing there, going for the
Chain
bullseye
number
on dart 2.
160.
He's trying to line up a 145. Shane's lining up tops.
40.
He'll be back. Shane's going to be the first person to fulfill his quota
42.
tonight.
Shane McGuire.
If he were to
20.
beat Lee Cox here and beat Carl Wilson, he's going to have 8 points and he'll be out of the building before anybody else. Oh, how was that missed?
No score.
Look how much time he's got, though.
$60. Shane McGuire. 20.
Lee just looks a little bit lost on the stage right now.
Game shot
The
number
doubling
4
hasn't
flag.
been
Shane McGuire.
of a prime nature in this one, but it hasn't had to be. 3 from
The
15.
flag is Lee to throw first. Game on.
Still 3-1 up. The job is being done.
And still averaging 85, despite the 12 missed starts at a double. Which
59.
suggests how powerful the scoring is. Which will also suggest why he's had so many opportunities to miss and still be 3-1 ahead. Because he's been going so well.
100.
With the power scores of which he's found 6 scores of a 140 or more and a max.
140.
Shall we start calling him Shane or Mac? Just play him the tune. Here comes the money.
55.
That could be his nickname. Money.
126.
Money McGuirk.
Floyd Mayweather as well, wasn't it, with the
96.
money nickname?
That's true. How can I forget about him? One of the greatest boxers that has ever lived.
Doesn't he throw a few darts as well?
60.
I think he has in the past, actually.
And didn't Manny Pacquiao throw a few as well?
Oh, Manny's a darts fan, yeah. I think he's attended darts competitions in California.
140, Libra 116.
Hit this, or run the risk of defeat.
54, Shane McGuire 110.
51 needed for tops.
54,
Whatever
162.
Lee Cox is struggling with right now, he's got to fight through it somehow.
46.
That might be that.
Shane McGuire 56.
McGuirk has had 15 darts at a double. That's the last one of this game. Hard work,
Shane McGuirk.
but ultimately disappointment for Lee Cox on this occasion. 6 points possible for Arrow. 6 points bagged by that man with a bit of a grin as he leaves the stage. Not a vintage performance, but it didn't have to be. Lee was not able to bank many of the shots at double, and Shane wins by 4 legs to 1.
Inch on the second
First time
leg.
it's been heard all
Andy
week.
Hamilton.
What a start for the hammer. Beef with second top plus checker of the night. Double 16. Magnificent. And that is a hammer blow applied by the hammer. Hamilton is going to get a couple more to level. You Devils.
Andy
one.
Hamilton.
Week 5 will see the hammer back. He will be in Group A next week with David Fathom from Arizona via Canada. Carl Sneed will be back. He's been in good form this year. Lorenzo Pronk. What a great name that is. Ricardo Ulrich with Joe Croft. That will make up your Group A for next week with Justin Smith. Reece Colley, Conor Heenahan, the Irishman, will be back. Kelvin O'Keefe as well. Michael Huntley and Brandon Walsh. Lots of familiar names for Week 5. So there's your first little sneak peek into what we're going to see in Week 5. But Week 4 is very much up and running. And now we've passed the halfway point of Group B on Thursday night. We say hello to Friday morning. And we say hello to Game 7, which will be the 4th meeting of the week between Scott Campbell and Sam Spivey. It currently stands, too many S's, 2-1 to Spivey, because he had 4-3 wins on Monday and Tuesday, but Scott Campbell did get a win yesterday by 4 legs to 3.
Scott to throw first. Game on.
When that's happened that way, Matt, is it just a case of let's have another 4-3 and see what happens?
Yeah, well, for players as well, it just means you don't fear the situation, doesn't it? When you've sort of been in it a few times. We saw it this afternoon, didn't we? Mark McGuire kept going to a 4-3, kept losing that last leg decider. And then when he played the 4th 3-all situation, the throw completely broke down.
140.
Very edgy. The handwork, he was almost throwing a fist at the board.
Come on, I'm going to throw you on the spot right now. Give me a winner for Week 5. From the list we've just seen.
134.
I think it's a week where I'm interested to see who is the favourite, because I don't see a standout name in there where you go, that's the player to beat. So I'm going to go with Justin Smith, even though I'm not sure where his game is at the moment. Every time he comes here, he always says, I'm going to start practicing. I'm going to start putting some effort in, starting from now. And comes back next time and says the same thing.
140.
The only thing that is a shoo-in for next week is that Justin Smith will have a beard. Because if he doesn't, he needs a new nickname.
130.
I'm going to go for Carl Sneed.
161.
Oh, good shout, actually. He's been playing well. Getting some wins on the Pro Tour as well, hasn't he? And a lot of experience. Left-hander as well, for adding to the left-hander conversation.
Absolutely. Both lefties in this game. Needs a sandwich.
60.
Can't find the filling.
Sammy McGuire, 24.
Spivey has been finding double 12 tonight.
Game
and does
on
again.
The first leg, Sam Spivey.
Definitely going in the right direction right now after a losing start
to
McGuirk. But that almost looks conceivable now, considering what Shane's done for the rest of the night.
$42.
That thing that Campbell does when he approaches the oche, he stands on top of it and then retreats a little bit. What do you make of it?
81.
It's a more exaggerated, but there, Sam Spivey did it. That one, I understand. Because what he's doing there is he's just trying to stay moving. He's got to the oche, Scott Campbell's there, you stand on the oche, you get back into position. But that is so much more exaggerated that I can't quite understand that one as much. It might be the exact same reason. You might just want to feel like he's still moving when he gets to the oche, so he's not sort of just towing it straight away. And that's where you know that Sam is a player that's doing it just to stay moving, to make sure he's not stood at the jockey waiting or standing with his arm in the air waiting.
100.
Like we saw a couple of weeks ago with the likes of Wes Newton. And the fact that he's not doing it every single time suggests that it's a timing thing. With Scott Campbell, I don't know.
$100.
Spivey's going to have to go to 19s first here. Okay, don't.
We should rephrase that. Sam Spivey should have gone to the 19s there.
Every time he loses a flight, he catches it. How's that? He's as good at catching flights in midair as Joe Root is hitting more than 7,000 runs for his country in ODIs.
100.
I wouldn't be surprised if Spivey was good with the willow as well as the tungsten. I'm surprised Simon Whitlock hasn't made stems out of willow yet. Just a bit short on that one, so Spivey has a chance for 2-0. At the younger cousin of the Shanghai on 20s.
Sam, you require 100.
Now what? He's got to be distracted by that big blue flight in the way, surely.
23.
It felt like the right idea there. I'm not normally a big fan of the double doubles, but depending on the lie, and that one was awkward, wasn't it? That's awkward, so we'd be much happier here going on the double 10.
40. Sam, you require 77.
Campbell's numbers seem to be going in the wrong direction tonight. The direction is tops.
57. Scott, you require 20. Game shot on the
That's
second
the right direction.
Scott Campbell.
Equalising, and these two pretty much starting
Scott's
where they
first.
left off in their previous meeting.
Going to go a bit retro here with the rule book. Remember a few years ago, you would never have been able to have seen this game, certainly in a PDC event, played how it is right now, because they're both wearing blue and black. And when you used to look at the rule book before,
97.
playing in a TV or streamed event, broadcasted event, you could not wear the same coloured shirt as your opponent. And the person who had the pick would be the person who was the highest ranked player. So if you was playing against somebody who was higher ranked than you, it was always advisable to bring 2 shirts with you, because you never know what colour the opponent's going to wear. I mean, you played Chizzy, Van Gerwen, you knew it was green, you knew it was yellow. But people who mixed it up, if you were playing Peter Wright, you might need to bring 3 shirts.
60.
Based on that rule, Scott Campbell would have the pick, which means Sam would have to change. You cast your memory back to
59.
a World Grand Prix match between Adrian Lewis and Gary Anderson. Adrian was ranked higher than Gary, and Gary had to wear blue. Funnily enough, this kind of blue. Because Adrian wanted to wear black.
And if you don't have a spare shirt, it wasn't a case of going, okay, you haven't got a spare shirt, it's fine. They assigned you a shirt, which normally was like a black polo shirt.
The dreaded store-bought PDC logoed shirt.
60. Scott, you require
I'll
70.
tell you a little tale in the next leg. One for your bedtime story, if you will. post double 16.
54.
Or double 8.
$100. Scott, you require 16.
Double 8 incoming then.
Game shot on the third.
Right there, 2-1.
Scott Campbell.
Spivey behind. But we're
Four-flagged
still
Sam
on
to
the throw.
First. Game on.
Back in 2008, I made my TV debut against Gary Anderson, funnily enough, who was going to wear black.
180.
And I chose to wear a shirt that was predominantly white. After having that shirt inspected by
55.
the then Players Marshal Eddie Cox, he said in his North Tyneside accent, "Oh, you cannot wear that, lad." Because my logo on the back,
93.
which had been airbrushed by an artist in Australia, it wasn't approved by the PDC. So the two dart shirts I brought with me were both outlawed.
120.
As a consequence of that, they said, go and see this lady called Dee. She's got a stall over there. You can get a shirt off her. I had to buy a plain white PDC logoed heavy polo shirt to play on a red hot stage in Wolverhampton. As garments go, it's an absolute
81.
travesty of a garment.
Sam, you require 48.
But I did win the game, and I still have the polo shirt.
Game shot on the
Spivey's got an 11
forward.
darter.
Sam Spivey.
Probably got more value for money, if I'm honest.
Fifth leg, it's Scott to throw first. Game on.
Which often nowadays leads to further complications as well, as we see with a lot of players now. They have sort of the sponsors piped into the material rather than be a sticker as such on
123.
top, so you're not able to transfer that across. Let's get the old scissors out and cut them off.
Oh, hold on, Matt. It's not 1993 at Lakeside anymore.
140.
If you haven't seen the Blood on the Carpet documentary about darts, then seriously, you need to see it. What happened at the 93 Lakeside is one of
134.
the biggest things that's ever happened in the sport. People wanted to wear a WDC logo because they were forming a new group of players. And their badges
59.
were cut out by the people in the maroon coats.
Later
140.
went to become the PDC.
Yeah, indeed. Was the World Darts Council, wasn't it?
115.
And turned
Scott, you
itself into
require
the Professional
104.
Darts Corporation. Standard in this game has changed ever since we started talking about the split.
84.
Thank goodness that we're all getting along these days. They were terrible times.
121. Scott, you
These
require
guys
20.
can barely be split. Double five.
Game shot on the
3-2 lead
fifth
for
leg.
Campbell.
Scott Campbell.
I'm just going to tot up the legs that have been won
Six-legged
by
Sam
these
to throw
guys
first.
this
Game
week.
on.
Sam Spivey has 13 legs.
$140.
Scott Campbell's got 13 legs. So at this point of their head-to-head for the week, it's 13 all.
60.
Sounds about right, really, doesn't it?
It really does. Can you imagine if these two make the final on Saturday night? And let's say they're, I don't know, 20 legs all going into the very last leg decider.
Well, if Campbell wins 4-3, they'll end the day level.
45.
Oh, look at that. Thing of beauty, bullseye.
127.
That had a very strange noise, didn't it, that bullseye? It's almost as if he was hitting the screw. Well, they have that terminology in golf.
100.
Hitting it right out of the screws.
Sammy
Do you know where that
required
comes
54.
No, the only thing I know in golf is hole in one and ball.
Game shot.
We
the
know
sixth
11
leg.
darter in this sport
Sam
because that's the
Spivey.
second one he's found in this game.
7.
And that's why he's averaging 12 points. 12 points more than his opponent.
Game on.
My word, Sam Spivey can play this game. But hitting it out of the screws is born from hitting the ball off a wooden club which has screws in the sweet spot of the wooden driver.
100.
Look at that. Winning legs of 13, 11 and 11. If you were to do an average for those winning legs, it would be
77.
monstrous.
Well, the overall average isn't too bad either. Sam Spivey running just over 100 at the moment. 12 points better off than that of Scott Campbell.
17.
For those three winning legs, Spivey is averaging 128.8.
That'll do, won't it? Take some beating.
135.
Perish the thought that he might even lose the game.
Well, that shot's just give him a bit of a lead here. 100 points. And that means Campbell's going to have to find something. Big dart incoming.
99. $96.
He's done pretty well there. One big mistake here from Campbell, and Spivey might have a couple of visits to get a very vital win. This is not a mistake. He's got 171 left. 19s is not the play, but he still uses it.
171.
Seriously impressive. It's like they were all in the same hole.
58. Scott, you require 114.
You don't need all three darts in the same hole here. You just need them in the right ones. That's in the right place. That isn't. Supposedly the easiest of the three darts in the combo.
90.
And it could well be the dart that costs him the match.
135.
One more trick. But he doesn't get enough.
57.
It's going to be 4-3 again for the fourth
Scott,
day
you
in
require
succession with these
24.
two lefties. How many times they play this week is entirely up to them. It could be as many as 7 times. But the fourth meeting goes the way of Scott Campbell.
Scott Campbell.
So the first 2 days were won by the Englishman by 4 legs to 3. The following 2 days have been won by the Scot. When they meet a little bit later on Friday night, they will have another 4-3 probably. It was a great game. Sam Spivey loses by 4 legs to 3, even though he had the best 3 legs of the match.
Are you ready to lift that trophy, Darius? Yes. Let's do it then. Ladies and gentlemen, your Modus Super Series 9 champion is Lucky D, Darius Labanowski!
Well, what a wonderful night of darts we have seen, and we are ready. Our champion is ready, and it's trophy time. So receive the trophy. £25,000. The new Modus Super Series champion, the Terminator, Marvin Van Velzen. And one more time, the 8th Modus Super Series champion, the Terminator, Marvin Van Velzen. And the new Modus Super Series champion is Andreas Dirty Harrison. And one more time, the 7th Modus Super Series champion. Give it up for Andreas Dirty Harrison.
The moment we've all been waiting for. Would you please show your appreciation for your Series 6 Modus Super Series champion, Scott Taylor?
One more time, your new Modus Super Series champion. He is Chucky. He is Jim McGuire.
Ladies and gentlemen, your Modus Super Series champion, retaining his title, the Nuke, Luke Littler!
Welcome back to the Modus Super Series, and tonight is seeing Shane McGuirk having a bit of a whale of the time. He's going to finish up in this game with Carl Wilson. Is he going to stay on 6 points, or will he find himself
First
on
leg,
8?
it's Shane to throw first. Game on.
He's got the darts, he's got the form, he's got pretty much everything going for him tonight. As for Wilson, not so much, Matt.
100.
He's been close, hasn't he, Wilson? He should have won that first game when he played against Lee Cox. So many missed darts to win that match.
140.
Ended up with 3 from 19 in that one. Then went down 4-3 to Sam Spivey. So he's been close, but it just feels like something's a little bit off, doesn't it, with the Carl Wilson game? And this is not the player you want to be playing if you're not at the peak of your powers.
140.
But imagine if Wilson was to get a win against McGuirk. How that would set him up for the final game of the night against Campbell.
131.
He could turn a somewhat drab evening into a rather productive one in the next 50 minutes.
140. Shane, you're back 130.
I'll tell you what, this game is quick. We're going to have to start talking quicker.
Be like racehorse commentary.
Or auctioneering.
57. Carly, you're required 81.
I'm not going to try and do an auctioneer's voice because nobody wants to hear that. Bullseye.
Game
Bada
shot
bing,
the
bada boom,
first leg.
just like that.
Cole Wilson. Second leg, it's Cole to throw first. Game on.
That is more like it. 12 darter to start things off. But brilliant legs like that are no guarantee of success. Just a reminder that Sam Spivey, in his previous game, had legs of 13, 11 and 11 and didn't win the game.
83. $45.
It does feel like he is doing everything quicker here, Wilson. Throwing quicker, retrieving quicker, moving around the hockey quicker. Part of that may be due to the fact he's playing Shane McGuirk, who also likes to play with a bit of pace. And you can kind of get into a different flow, a different rhythm when you know you're going to be back to the hockey a little bit sooner.
85.
Yeah, potentially. We were talking about famous Wilsons earlier a little bit on our session. Do you remember a TV program called Home Improvement?
Yes.
47.
The guy who used to peer over the fence with the bucket hat on? The neighbour called Wilson?
Was that the show that had Handy Andy on it?
100.
I think you're thinking of a different Home Improvement.
Right, okay.
Mine was the American sitcom with Tim Allen.
All right, I'm actually thinking of actual Home Improvements, aren't I?
44.
Homes Under the Hammer style.
You know, Henry earlier in the week actually quoted how many times Dion Dublin has been on Homes Under the Hammer. He's probably got a database for that.
Probably watched every episode.
42. Carly require 140.
We've seen this tonight from Shane.
$60. Shane, you require 170.
We've seen a couple of close calls on this shot as well.
$64. Carly require 80.
His angle of attack shouldn't be blocking anything here. Nothing in the way of that.
Second leg.
Great backup leg. He seems to have the measure of Shane just now.
Third leg, it's Shane to throw first. Game on.
Ever been to Royal Tunbridge Wells? Well, it's right on the border of East Sussex and Kent.
180.
I can't say I've even drove past it, to be honest.
It's one of those places that if you're not going there,
100.
you're not going to drive past it. And that's one of the things that people like about it. If you're going to drive to Hastings, you might see the signs for it. But in order to see Royal Tunbridge Wells, you've actually got to go there. Queen Elizabeth II had her jeweller there.
60.
How do you know this stuff?
Because I once bought an engagement ring in that jeweller.
There we go. The Walking Book of Knowledge.
162.
Not the first time that Shane has found that tonight. And when he did the last time, he took it 140.
100.
Okay. Double 10.
Game
He does it again.
Third leg. Shane McGuire.
162 for Shane as a precursor to winning the leg.
First. Game on.
That's his fourth ton plus checkout of the night so far. 102, 126, 140, and now the 100. 6 ton plus checkouts for the evening amongst all the players.
35.
Of which McGuirk has hit the majority of them.
$180.
He might have been 2-0 up. Not necessarily cruising, but Shane McGuirk is hitting back.
140.
He's got a peculiar foible when it comes to approaching the hockey as well.
180.
The neighbours are starting to say, What's with all this racket? Well, things might get even louder in a second.
100. Shane, you require 141.
Show me the money, Shane.
But what a time
97.
to hit back-to-back maximums when you're up against the darts. Sometimes you can be on that 9-dart shot, you get the holds, and you think, why couldn't I have
56.
done that
Shane, you require
in another
44.
leg? Why couldn't I have timed that better? This is time to perfection.
$28.
Maybe
Carly
he's going to have the
require
leg
170.
that Joe Bridle had earlier when he was on the 9. He finished the leg in 29 darts.
65. Shane,
Not
you
that we're
require
trying
60.
to encourage McGuirk to finish Wilson off here, but don't put us through a 29 darter, Shane.
Game.
Many
Sean, the
thanks.
fourth
It's
leg.
2-2.
Shane McGuirk. Fifth leg, it's Shane to throw first.
What a great bounce back this is.
Game on.
If there's one thing he's really good at now, considering what he's done in the last 12 months,
134.
it's being aware of that set format, isn't it? 2-0 down in legs. He can understand that
60.
you can win a situation by winning the next 3 legs and getting the chalk mark of the set. This is slightly different, but it's pretty similar.
123.
No panic either for McGuirk, was there? When he went 2-0 down, when Wilson was playing so strong, it was just like, I'm just going to keep my performance going, and I'm going to get opportunities. And as
100.
Shane McGuirk has managed to keep hold of his performance, we have seen Carl Wilson start to dip. And I wonder how much of that is what's going on in this game, and how much of it is in the fact that Carl Wilson is yet to
58.
register a victory in this group campaign, and may start to be getting a little bit panicked.
We looked at the lineup
86.
and we earmarked this group as the one that might have the most quality.
100.
It's had its fair share of that quality. But someone was always going to struggle in this company. I wasn't sure
60.
that it would be
Shane, you
Carl.
require 86.
To take the lead, he's going to look at the 16s. Showing a
46.
great deal of composure there.
$95. Shane, you require
It's that reverse
40.
stacking method.
Game.
And
Sean,
there
the
is a
fifth
3-2
leg.
lead
Shane McGuirk.
after being 2-0 down.
Sixth leg, it's Cole to
Oh,
throw
how
first.
things can change.
Game on.
Shane is one leg from a perfect evening and being so close to another Saturday night. Could this possibly be the week where Shane McGuirk
174.
wins consecutive weekly titles? But that is the 4th 174 of the
60.
night for Carl Wilson. If you're going to get him a mascot for Christmas,
59.
get him a dancing Dundas. You press the button on the head and it just bellows out a 174.
45.
Oh, we've had it all, haven't we? Shane McGuirk's got his mascot on the stage. Use Shane McGuirk Funko Pop, and then you can have the Dundas as well.
If you look at the table,
86.
Shane's Funko Pop is actually on a cliff edge.
$97.
Hanging on for dear life. That is one strong Funko Pop.
Well, you referenced Die Hard earlier on, didn't you, in Clinging On?
92.
Don't let go.
We did actually get to see Arrow as well on the back of it there. So
Well, that's on purpose. It has to be.
136. Colin McGuire, 90.
I'll tell you what, if that Funko Pop falls, we're going to have to do the slow motion like Alan Rickman. We're going the distance. This one is a cliffhanger.
Carl Wilson. 7th and final leg, it's Shane to throw.
Whoever
first.
wins this,
Game on.
this is going to be a hard-fought 2 points.
$85.
Fourth time tonight we're going the distance. No surprise there. Does Wilson have enough in the tank to break one more time?
100. $96.
it's ironic, isn't it, for Carl Wilson, who's maybe got himself into this situation through missed doubles, that in this match he's yet to miss one. 3 from 3.
93.
We're going to be staring at his numbers come Friday night thinking, well, wasn't that good.
180.
But his chances of getting out of this group with 4 points tonight, dwindling.
77. Shane back 140.
McGuirk has the luxury of a ton to leave tops. Well, that's not going to happen.
70.
But yet again, he saves a bad visit with a wonderful anchor shot.
$140.
Is that enough pressure?
70.
We had a perfect day today from David Sharp. Is it a perfect night?
50. Carly require 91.
This is to stop Shane from getting to 8 points. Double 16.
Good.
Brilliant.
Shot on the match.
Just when he needed something to happen.
Wilson.
Carl Wilson really has been put through the ringer this evening. But when he needed a little bit of quality, he found it at just the right time. And that might just set him up perfectly for the last game of the night when he takes on Scott Campbell. But before we get there, it's going to be Sam Spivey up against Lee Cox. 2 more games to go in our marathon day of darts here on Pluto TV. And this is where the journey ends for today, in fact, for Sam Spivey and Lee Cox. Lee opened tonight's proceedings against Scott Campbell, losing by 4 legs to 2. He somehow got a victory in his second game against Carl Wilson.
To throw first. Game on.
But then really struggled against Shane McGuirk in game 6. And if he plays to the same level, Matt, as he did in that game, Sam Spivey will absolutely destroy him.
180.
It's been patchy for Lee Cox tonight, hasn't it? There's been moments, there's been flashes, but he's not put them together enough.
60.
I mean, those darts really well put together, great grouping. It's just a fraction low. There was a danger here, though, that Lee Cox could have gone through the night without picking up a single win. It was a lot of match darts he survived against Carl Wilson, who's finally got over the line, picked up his first win against Shane McGuirk.
96.
I sometimes look at tables like this and think about the worst case scenario. The worst case scenario for Lee is that he finishes bottom of this table on 2 points. If that were to happen, he could still have a really good Friday and qualify.
100. Time you require 50.
Spivey's on another 11 darter on double 15.
Game show on the first leg. Sam Spivey.
Be honest with yourself, everyone. How many times have you seen an 11 dart leg with a double-double?
Wasn't the pre-shot intention,
30.
but it worked out quite well. Maybe we're at a situation here where Sam Spivey's been aware of the troubles that Lee Cox has been having throughout the evening. Lee Cox is quite a chatty guy. He's
60.
one of those people in the practice room that you're not going to see keep himself to himself with his headphones on, not really engaging, and probably has been quite vocal in the practice room about how it's not really been going his way, which may have just been pumping Sam Spivey with further confidence.
180. 140.
What on earth brings Sam Spivey to this level?
130.
Late at night, he may be a werewolf. He could be the Dart Wolf.
He's
not putting many feet wrong. Lee's got to recover. Otherwise, 2-0 beckons.
42. Sammy McGuire, 32.
He's not missing much, but this is really hard. Look at what he's got in the way.
24.
Still nearly found 54. It. In order to win games in this group, your doubles can't be missed.
34. Sammy require 8.
Second crack of the whip.
Game
and a second leg.
Sam Spivey.
We saw Wilson with 4 out of 4 on the doubles in the previous game. That's the second time tonight that's happened. Spivey's not going to do the same, but even with 3 misses at a double at the halfway point, he's still averaging 111.
100.
What do you think his ceiling is?
I think he's someone we're going to see on the tour. I think he's someone who's developing at quite a good rate, quite a quick rate. and becoming very adaptable as well to scenarios and situations. And something I've noticed even tonight as well, in sort of being able to
45.
correct things within his throw as well. Earlier on in the night, my eye was just drawn to the wrist at the drawback. At that deep set position, it was turning. There's still a little bit of a turn there at the moment,
85.
but he sort of worked that out of his game as the night's gone on. So much more straight and more backwards and forwards.
60.
Yeah, you just see that blue flake turning towards the left eye.
$60.
A lot of the positions he finds himself in are very appealing on the eye.
96.
Technically, he's one of the best lefties we've seen here. It's very difficult, in fact, to judge a left-hander equally with the
98.
righties because we don't have the same camera angles.
$60.
Didn't even entertain the 19s with the last dart. Biggest finish of the night, 140 from McGuirk.
60. They require 75.
That one's safe. How safe is this one? Tops needed.
Game show on the
Perfectly
third.
timed. That's a break of
Lee
throw, and if he
Cox.
didn't get that, he was risking
Full
a
Bergen's
very
lead to
heavy
throw
defeat.
first. Game on.
Earlier on tonight, Lee was saying that making Saturday this week would be
60.
ranked maybe higher than hitting a 9-dart leg here. Interesting, that.
And certainly when I was speaking to him off air, he suggested that if it was a move on and win the week,
58.
he would rate that as his biggest achievement, even over what he's done on the Challenge Tour.
You think there are a lot of dart players who
60.
have that recency bias? So maybe they say that this is the biggest thing they've ever done, but when they see the cold light of day the next Sunday or two,
95.
they think, well, actually, realistically, the Challenge Tour at the time might have been a bit bigger.
140.
Or does it paint a picture of how much importance this place has now?
$100.
This is a bruising format, especially if you're playing all week long like Sam is. But at this level, if you can win a
13.
WDF event or two, if you can win at the Modus Super Series and the Challenge Tour, you're doing a lot right.
100.
And that is something that Jimmy Van Ski did a lot of last year. Pretty much the only thing he didn't win was a series. 3 weekly titles,
100.
numerous
Damien
WDF
McGuire,
titles,
148.
Challenge Tour win. Takes a serious player to be able to do that.
100. They require 128.
Takes a serious player to take this out as well. On the ball.
78.
Not the first time that's happened tonight to someone.
Sam, you require 48.
Is he ready for a 3-1 lead? And an immediate break back.
No
This
score.
time, double 15 does
They
not give him the
require
leg.
50.
And funnily enough, when Spivey hit it last time, it was on 50.
30. Sam, you require 48.
A picture is worth 1,000 words.
I think he's forgot that he's bust the score.
20. Lee, you require.
That may be the first time I've ever seen Sam Spivey break. And if you think it's the referee's responsibility to remind the player, Owen was 100% correct. He doesn't have to do a thing.
Game shot.
He just has to say, you require. Sam was in his own little bubble.
Fifth leg, it's Sam to throw first. Game on.
Make that 2 entries into the blooper reel at the end of the series from today, with the 120 bust from McGuire and that one from Spivey.
I think the worst thing for him was he hit it with the last dart, so he probably felt
121.
relief. He probably felt joy. Maybe he was coming up now to throw for the match, and all of a sudden, you've lost a leg. When you think you've won it.
Tiredness can do funny things to you. I just like the fact. Think about this laterally. He's got 48 left. He thinks he's got 20. And
60.
We have an operator here called a spotter, and our referee knows a lot about that business because he's one of the best in the business. But our spotter zoned in on double 10 just to see him hit the shot that he didn't need.
But
it hasn't bothered him. Since then, he's had a 2 treble visit and a maximum.
Now he's best advised to listen.
Sam, you require 100.
So Binks is going to tell him exactly what he wants.
Sam, you require 248. You see, this time he didn't want to leave double 10.
82.
We could end up there in a couple of darts' time, though.
Sam, you need 58. Nobody dangle.
58.
A clock in
Sam,
front of
you
his
require
eyes.
58.
Don't hypnotise Mr. Spivey. 58, Sam. He knows where double 10 is, obviously. He's 3-2 up.
Sam Spivey. Sixth flag, it's Lee to throw first. Game on.
If anything, in the last 2.5 minutes, he has given us even more
95.
proof of the composure he's got, because lesser players would have folded like origami after that bust shot.
Yeah, not only that, they would have lagged it on, wouldn't they? Especially the next leg, winning it on double 10. There would have been sort of an ironic reaction and sort of continuing the moment where Sam Spivey just says, the moment's gone. Let's move
60.
on. Yeah, Sam Spivey is officially the Derek Acora of darts. He has his own ghosts and he just slays them immediately.
60. $59.
Too many times I've looked up after 6 darts and Lee Cox is on a number where he can't leave a finish. That aspect of his game has got to evolve.
Certainly if he's going to look at the position where he was last year as being a little bit more consistent of that gap between going from the Challenge Tour to the Pro Tour, which he was getting plenty of call-ups in the middle to the latter part of last year. That's going to be the difference at that level of step up.
But he has left to finish. Something he might need to find now. Double 18. Where's he found that from?
Flag.
What a shot to maybe save your night.
7th and final.
This game's had a bit of everything.
First.
Started
Game
with a
on.
double-double 11 darter. A mystifying moment for Spivey, and now a huge hit from the man from Crawley.
60.
That may just be the moment of his night, but there's still more work to do.
Not just a moment of his night, the biggest checkout of the night and the biggest checkout of the
99.
day. Nothing beat it in Group C earlier either.
Group B is going to another 4-3.
59.
There is not going to be much
140.
between these players overnight. If Sam Spivey walks away from tonight with only 2 points, he's going to be scratching his head so much. He might even cut himself.
94, 92, 98 his averages.
He's having a Jamie Lewis night.
132.
Oh, look at that from Coxey. If he does win this leg,
60.
the importance of that 147 is magnified. Is he going to finish with another one?
He's got a bit of time here to get the job done. Sam Spivey quite a bit back. He's just got to hit and hope now. He's got to find something and then pray that Lee Cox does what Carl Wilson did
92.
in their head-to-head clash, and that's
They
missed
require
lots of
56.
match opportunities.
What a great chance this is.
60.
Just a little too safe.
Sam, you require 170.
Time to raise the stakes, Sam. Statistically, his worst average of the night. And Lee Cox will finish above Spivey in the table. Sam was waiting on 86 to win the game by 4 legs to 2. And then Crafty Coxey had other ideas. The 147 checkout changes the game. And Lee walks away with 4 points from the night. And considering how he played a little bit earlier, he'll be absolutely elated with that, with 1 game to go.
Are you ready to lift that trophy, Darius? Yes. Let's do it then. Ladies and gentlemen, your Modus Super Series 9 champion is Lucky D, Darius Labanowski!
Well, what a wonderful night of darts we have seen, and we are ready. Our champion is ready, and it's trophy time. So receive the trophy. £25,000. The new Modus Super Series champion, the Terminator, Marvin Van Velzen. And one more time, the 8th Modus Super Series champion, the Terminator, Marvin Van Velzen. And the new Modus Super Series champion is Andreas Dirty Harrison. And one more time, the 7th Modus Super Series champion. Give it up for Andreas Dirty Harrison!
The moment we've all been waiting for. Would you please show your appreciation for your Series 6 Modus Super Series champion, Scott Taylor!
One more time, your new Modus Super Series champion. He is Chucky. He is Jim McGuire.
Ladies and gentlemen, your Modus Super Series champion, retaining his title, the Nuke, Luke Littler!
Welcome to the final game of our first double session of the week. Don't worry, we've got more for you a little bit later on. And in around about 12 hours' time, we will tour the Oki once again to start things off in Group C with the likes of Mark
First leg,
McGuire,
it's Cole
Kevin
to throw
Lankhausen.
first. Game on.
Turner and Bridle will be back, as will Mr. Perfect David Sharp and Kurt Parry. But not before we see the end of the first day of Group B,
180.
and Wilson is off to a flyer.
Did the same in his last game, didn't he, against Shane McGuirk? Came out the traps flying, went 2-0 up. Looked very, very good.
123.
Going 3-2 down. Got over the line in the end. But there is one thing about Carl Wilson's game so far. They have all gone the distance.
100.
Played the full maximum quota of legs.
Has he been hanging out with
75.
Mark McGuire? He had 4 games today that were all going the distance, didn't he?
Yeah, McGuire got his win, didn't he, in the last one? Finally got
45.
over the line in the last leg decider.
Do you remember who won last week? John O'Shea. You know he's called the Joker.
Yep.
85.
Do you know who Carl Wilson reminds me of? A character from a movie called Full Metal Jacket. Private Joker.
44.
With the famous drill sergeant first 30 minutes. The guy who played the drill sergeant in that movie is genuinely one of the best performances in movie history.
$66. Carly Rock 132.
Start on the bull. He didn't get the memo, Matt.
$92.
Does anybody send memos anymore?
Scott, you require 152.
Not many people do snail mail. 152. He's had a crack at this week. Missing it on double 16. He doesn't get another chance.
96.
And Wilson,
Oh,
who
he
is
required
fresh
40.
off a 4 out of 4 performance on the doubles, is looking for more damage.
Game shot on the first.
More
leg.
damage he
John
inflicts.
Wilson. Second leg, it's Scott to throw first. Game on.
As the night's gone on, the finishing's got significantly better, hasn't it, for Carl? Ever since those mismatched darts, you could have excused him if he'd have struggled for the rest of the evening.
41.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. First game, 3 out of 19. Most of those misses were for the match.
140.
Then he was 3 from 9 against Sam Spivey. And then the 4 from 4 against McGuirk. The only person to inflict defeat
38.
on the WDF champ, who is going to finish at the top of the table. He can't be displaced even by Campbell,
36.
who by winning this game can get to 6 points with him.
Yeah, good
good use of the 18s there from Scott.
$95.
Yeah, both of these guys have played in Group B before. Both have very much succeeded in the early hours in this place. So this will feel quite familiar to them.
135.
Perfectly timed.
180.
That's when you want to
Skoy
max.
139.
It's nice to start legs with them, but it's much better to do it then. To set up a shot, potentially. Now he gets it.
91.
Very impactful as well, isn't it? Your opponent takes much more notice of it, depending on the situation.
Game shot on the second leg.
Something has happened to Carl Wilson in the last couple of games. Whatever he has done, it is working.
$60.
Look at the intensity on his face. It's as if having 2 points overnight is not good enough. 4 points to him looks necessary.
51.
If he gets 4 points, he's going to be joining Cox and Campbell on 4. And miraculously, it will be Spivey who's bottom of the table.
135.
And considering some of the darts he's thrown tonight, he's had 3 11 darters tonight. How many people can honestly say that?
140.
3-4 visit legs in the night and he winds up bottom of the table.
Just a sign of the quality we've had, isn't it? And I think that was kind of our assessment when we looked ahead, didn't we? And we previewed things this morning and we looked at this Group B and we said that's going to be a very evenly split group and there's going to be someone disappointed. Someone was always going to play well in this group and not get the results of which they wanted. We've got to lose
55.
too.
Campbell's losing ground here. He's up against a very sharp Carl Wilson. He's very much on it right now.
140.
In golfing terms, he's dialed in.
$139. Carly requires
I wouldn't be surprised if he takes this in 2. He's playing that well. Tops will do.
Game shot.
Very much so.
Leg. Carl Wilson.
98 average and 3 out of 4 in the doubles.
Fourth leg, it's Scott to throw first.
He's determined to improve his overall nightly numbers with 2 wonderful performances to end his campaign on Thursday and early hours of Friday. Now let's say that Wilson does win this leg.
140.
Campbell would finish below Lee Cox and would be 4th in the table after starting this game in 2nd. That's how tight this group could possibly be. And just a reminder, we will be back at 10 p.m. tonight
140.
To start the final furlong of qualifying in week 4. Jemai van den Herik is safe. He's there Saturday night. He will play the first game.
100.
Finals from 7:30 p.m. Saturday, live on Pluto TV. He's not going to go quietly, and all of a sudden, you mentioned it earlier, Matt, Wilson was starting to speed up with McGuirk, and I think Campbell's doing the same with Wilson.
134. Scott, you require 81.
Nice one there to get him down to a finish after 9, but Campbell, very impactful in this leg.
Game
There's
shot
that number
the
again.
fourth leg. Scott
11
Campbell.
dart leg once again. Seems to be the power of the play
Carl to
tonight.
throw first. Game on.
This might seem like a really odd thing to say. Why doesn't Campbell play at this pace all the time?
139.
And you see sometimes people alter pace. They find some rhythm, they find something, and then they slow back down again.
Look at that stubbornness on the treble 20. Why didn't he switch to the 17s? Easy for us to say. We're up here. He's down there.
125.
Okay.
60.
Is Campbell all out of ideas? Wilson seems to have the answers.
$100.
Steady enough. He's not going to finish with an 11, but boy, would he like to finish with a 12. What a performance this has been. We haven't had a ton-plus average all night long.
60.
Wilson might be saving the best for last. We've had one missed start at a double the entire game.
97.
And that might be the parting shot. It doesn't matter what Campbell does. But that might be his parting shot.
180. Carly require 40.
Tops.
Game
How good
shot
was
at
that
the max.
from Carl Wilson?
Carl Wilson.
He didn't start the night very well. He found himself with a bit of purgatory. Lost to Lee Cox. Lost to Sam Spivey, but in the second half, he was a different beast. He was like Chelsea in the conference final. 103.01, defying a big average from Campbell. That's the end of the night, but we still have a few things to talk about.
Welcome back to the Modus Super Series. Our double day is done, and they are the final 4 results. Dominated by Carl Wilson and his doubling. 4 out of 4 against Shane McGuirk to inflict his first defeat of the evening. But against Scott Campbell, he raised the levels even more and only missed 1 darted double in that contest. Phenomenal, averaging 103. So he's vaulted his way up the table a little bit more after a bad start. He's actually going to finish second behind McGuirk, who is very comfortable perched at the top there, Matt. Who of those 5 players is feeling the pinch a bit, or maybe feeling frustrated?
It's got to be Sam Spivey, hasn't it? The performances he's played tonight, and yet he's bottom of the table on 2 points. It's going to be one of those scenarios, though, where if he plays and continues to play how he has done tonight, he's going to get into contention. And he's got 2 points on the board. We've seen people qualify with 0 points at this stage, so it could all turn around very quickly tomorrow. That's one of the real benefits of a Group B campaign. Sort of never really out of it.
Was this an evening all about timing? Because Shane McGuirk, he played beautifully against Carl Wilson, didn't get the victory, but the rest of the night, he seemed to have the right shots at the right times.
I was impressed with Shane McGuirk tonight, and I think we're always getting further and further more impressed with Shane, because it's all right doing something like he has, but to back it up and to continue to back it up, continuing to grow and develop as a player, and we're watching that evolution of him here at the Super Series. And I wouldn't be surprised if we're seeing Shane McGuirk, a player here who we don't see for much longer at the Super Series, but leaves us as a series winner.
This 140 would go, as you can see, mimicking what Peter Wright did back in 2020 at the World Championship. But that shot, it was just to assert more control against an opponent who was trying to bear down on him. And it took something rather spectacular to take him out in his last game. 4 out of 4 on the doubles for Carl Wilson, vaulting his way up to second.
Carl Wilson I've been very impressed with, actually, because he probably should have beat Lee Cox, shouldn't he? I think it was 5 or 6 visits to the board if we look at the legs previous as well, where he could have got the job done. To recover the way he did, certainly on the doubles, the last 2 games there, 100% and then 4 from 5. And the performance from Carl in those last, I think that taught us a lot more about him than if he'd have just come here and breezed his way through.
We've seen some great darts tonight, but we almost like funny darts more than good ones. Is Sam Spivey letting his head hit the pillow tonight, thinking about going for 48 on double 10 with 3 darts?
I think he'll be more worried about the league table position, but for us it was a great moment. He clearly forgot about hitting the double 15 with the last start, came up to hit the double 10, hit it last start in hand, which makes it even funnier as well. He'd probably wish he missed it, so he didn't have that sort of roller coaster of emotion where you sort of, am I wrong? Are they wrong? What's going on? There's something not quite right here, but when you figure out it's you that was wrong, you feel a little bit silly.
Well, thanks for your company tonight, Matt. We're going to be coming back in about 12 hours' time to see the culmination of Group C. As for your viewing on Pluto TV, next we have the story of Martin Schindler for you to view. He is only just getting going in his career. He's had a really, really good time of it of late, winning on the European Tour in Austria, getting the green jacket. In a little over 12 hours' time, we will see plenty of darts in Group C, and then Group B will start from 10 o'clock tonight. When it comes to Saturday, it's going to be finals night, and you don't want to miss that. That will be live on Pluto TV, but we'll be back very soon in just a shade under 12 hours. Make sure you see the end of Group C. We'll be here, will you? Good night for now.
What a finish! What a man! The drum roll finishes, and the target is
and it comes on finals night, and it's a knockout.
Dirty Harrison! Van Velzen! 54. Charlie McGuire, 164.
44. $32. Charlie require 120.
Well, 120. He's got a fair, at least 2 handfuls at this. Just needs to stay
60.
there. That's a good shot. Halves his score. Leaves himself on a 2-darter.
$26. Charlie
Time on his
require
side
60.
to become back-to-back singles champion.
$40.
Definitely a couple of nerves in those last 2 darts. But he'll be coming back.
It's a moment he's been in before this situation. Standing at the back of the stage,
Charlie
approaching the
require
Oki with a
20.
chance to win the title.
He did this to win the first title, if you remember.
11.
I think he's gone.
Georgia
I think he's gone to bust it, maybe. The first title he won, he wanted 20. He went 6-7-7 to win it. He had a chance to replicate it again.
Yeah, I get the feeling that was for a bust. And
39.
on that situation there, George Skaif wasn't even able to take it out going to the 18s on that switch.
Yeah, I think he just panicked a bit, but he's done well to get that big one.
Sometimes can be the hardest part.
Georgia requires
This is it.
79.
It's got to be 19s. It's got to be 19s for this shot. Big 20 and a double. He's got the first one. He's going to get a match dart here.
$59. Charlie
Threw the entire
require
body into that
8.
one. Just didn't want to let go of the dart.
No score.
He's given George a chance.
Georgia require 20.
I think George has been quite good on double 10 today.
So many opportunities for Charlie Murphy.
Got
Couldn't get the job done.
Got in the match! And the Red Dragon
George
Modus
Skaif.
Super Series Influencers Champion, George Skaif!